Yes, sir. We're back in
Yeah.
the building. Playoff season has arrived. Man like Chino has made an appearance on the islands. What you saying, bro?
What you man saying, man? Big up everybody. I know I've been MIA for like what past 3 weeks or so, but I'm here, man. I'm here. I had to, and don't feel like it's he only showed up because Miami won yesterday. I do got a little time right now, so I'm here, man, on the islands, of Oahu.
Come on.
What you man saying? Big up CM, big up Roland, man.
Come on. Man like
Hey,
CM, bro. What you saying, man? You good? Good week?
hey, it's good. It's good to be here, man. Good week. I've been catching some playoff basketball here and there, catching up in the mornings as well.
Hey,
It's been
CM,
good.
real
Life is
quick.
good.
Bro, you're not streaming that, bro. I've been looking for some stream, bro. I
Hey,
can't
hey,
just watch. Listen, because when I watch the game, bro, I be muting them. So I need somebody like, bro, get on your streaming, bro. You need to get the streaming going, bro. Because, fam, I mute Dorisberg, bro. Like, she is
Yeah,
such a cock eater, bro.
I'll be
I
changing them
do
channels.
not want to hear her.
I'll
I
be changing
don't
the
want to
channel.
hear her.
Bro, in the middle, what game was it, fam? I think it was New York and Philly. Yeah.
With
mm,
She was
Embiid,
just
if it was, yeah, she be.
He was just talking. JJ was locked in, bruv. He was so locked in on the basketball. She started talking about some random stuff, bruv. And he was like, "What did you say?" Like, nah, man. On the actual broadcast, I was like, "Yeah,
Bro, yeah, but so my brother CM, please get on the stream and
hey,
share it out, tag me, I'll
hey,
retweet and I'll hop in there on Twitch, bro. Let's get some
hey,
streaming
hey.
going, bro.
Listen,
Because
um, I'm targeting OKC 8:30 kickoff
on
this
Saturday."
weekend. Yes,
okay,
sir.
All
nice,
right, fam.
nice.
So
Share.
if
But
the
yeah,
man
man,
don't want to be there, we'll be there.
we'll be
I'm
there.
just
We'll be
We're
there.
yes,
here.
sir.
We're here. We're here.
What you
Come
saying
on.
though, Roland? What you saying, man?
Oh yeah. Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. We're doing the game, fam. So don't worry.
Oh,
If
Come on.
we're doing the game, so
okay, okay.
we got some stuff cooking for Saturday, man. Don't worry
Hey,
about that.
okay, okay, okay.
But yo,
Hey,
but big up,
real
big up,
quick
big up.
though,
Go on, go on.
big up everybody. And I
Come
know
on.
we got the topics that we're gonna talk about, but yo, CM. You see that J Dub?
Hey,
That's a
hey,
motherfucker. He tough.
hey.
He
Listen.
tough. Hey, you see Shay? Shay sometimes that because he's the star, that
Mm,
he get the attention and sometimes it's the defense they're showing him. It might look like he's folding, but it's kind of the defense. But in game one,
yeah.
he had some like questionable turnovers in the
Mm,
fourth, like in the second
yeah.
half. But you see, J Dub, composure, bro. I'm like, yo, that's how I got tough. I would take him in Miami. I'm
See,
like, he,
see how they start.
hey,
See how they
Hey.
hey,
start. You
hey,
see how they
hey,
start. You
listen,
see how they
listen,
start.
shut up. Hey, listen though. Someone was laughing at my tweet because Josh hit a three, and I was like, Josh Kitty for three.
Just kidding. Oh my god.
Josh
Oh
Kitty.
my god.
um, hey, keep it locked in it, fam. Keep
Hey,
it locked
yeah.
in it.
Nah, yo, I love
It's not
I
looking good.
love OKC, man. I'm watching. I watch both of their games. Um, not at all. Not like I watch obviously both of OKC, both of the Celtics, Miami, Daw, but the Clippers because the Kyrie. I watched both of those games. Game one was
Yeah.
brutal. I haven't. The Denver and Lakers. I didn't really see a lot of
I
game one
was
because I
I
was
was
out.
Mm,
both. I was both. I mean,
I watched game
we're,
two.
20.
we're gonna
Yeah,
we're gonna
game.
we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get
Okay, yeah.
into
Get
it.
on to the topic. My
We'll
bad.
get
My
into it. We'll get
bad.
into
Get
it.
into
But
the
yo,
topic.
big up to everybody, man. Look, I appreciate everyone that's come through so far. We got a lot to talk about tonight in terms of the playoff basketball.
Hey, big up
It's-
everybody. Alfie Yank.
Come on.
Alfie again.
Come
Yank.
on.
Big up yourself. Is
Yeah, big
Yank
up yourself. Big up.
the Kings fan
Yeah, yeah,
or the
yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Suns fan?
sir.
Kings, Kings,
Which
Kings.
one is the Suns fan that be talking shit in here?
Oh, what's it?
Yeah, you getting sweat, bro.
I forgot his name.
We have a Suns fan that be in here talking,
Yeah, I
Bro,
know. Yeah, I know you're talking about. But I forgot his name. I forgot the username. But big
but
up to
yeah,
him, innit?
big up,
It'll
man.
come. It'll come back. Big up
yeah.
to him still. Big up to him still. Hey, but look, everyone, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Share this out with everybody right now. We're locked into the playoffs right now on the Big Free Show. But we only got one place to start, man. Let's talk about some of these games, man. Let's talk about some of these games because, like, I've been locked in. I've been watching. I know you guys have been watching as well. So let's get into
I want to
some real
get in.
business.
Where you want to start?
we'll start off with OKC, bro. I want to hear CM's perspective, man. Like
Yeah, yeah.
leading 2-0.
Listen, I'll kick it off because mine is small. It's CM team.
Okay. Okay.
Listen, I love that team. They're young. I felt like game one, like I put the tweet out. If you look at my thing, because I even
Mm.
quoted myself yesterday. I put the tweet out. I said, "Whoa, okay, see that was close. Y'all got to get it together." And then I said, "But I think they will though, because you could tell it was more rust, and it was rusty. It was the first time for a lot of guys. They're a young
No,
team. The
nerves.
coach got to get them in the film room after game one, settle them in. You know what I'm saying? But that was at home. I want to see what
Mm.
they do when they go away in game three. But I like the basketball they play. I love when things is not going. When things are not going, Shay and everybody get out the way, and J Dub is like, okay, let me calm us down. Give me the ball, and bro, he is so like I'm so fascinated with him, bro, because it's like he can shoot threes. His pull up midi is like wet, it's butter, and then he drives and spin, and he's
Yeah.
like at the hoop for a layup. Like I'm like, yo, he is hooping. Like, and it's always like, oh, Pelicans going on a run. We can't get a bucket. 4 minutes without a bucket. Okay, J Dub's like, all right, here we go. Give me the ball. Initiate the offense. Josh Giddy go to one corner. Shay go to the other corner. You know what I'm saying? Shit,
Mhm.
like in the middle in the dunk, and he just goes to work. And I'm like, that's the recipe. That's how you know they have a good thing going, because when the ball is flowing and what's the not Wiggins? What's the other guy? The one that be shooting the threes?
Do don't.
Um,
Oh
no,
no no
not
no.
those, not
Isaiah
those.
Joe. Isaiah Joe.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
When the
He's a
Yo.
shooter.
ball is moving, they're hitting,
Ooh.
He's a
and they're
shooter.
playing with life, everything is well. But when the ball getting stuck and the team is getting on a run, I love his composure where he just get on the ball. It's okay. I'll get our fans going again, and I'll quiet them down. I love that. But yeah, I feel like OKC. I know a lot of people not believing in them. Who they play second round? Would it be the
It'll be
Nuggets
Mavs
Lakers?
or Clippers.
Yeah, we might as well Clippers. But
Oh
hey,
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're the one seed.
I'm gonna just stop you right there, Chino. I just want to big up everybody in the comments right now, man. Big up to Alfie saying big up
Yeah.
everyone.
Big up
Big up the
Alfie.
man like Yank saying big up the man them. Nas Reed robbed Malik Monk. I ain't gonna lie, I think Nas Reed just deserved it this
No,
year.
Nasri deserved
He
it. Because
deserved it this
here's the
year.
thing, real quick,
Bro.
real quick. I was
But
gonna
no,
talk
wait,
about the
Chino,
Tim.
Chino, wait. We're gonna get into it. Trust me, we'll talk about it like in proper detail. Just wait. Let me just get through the comments. Let me get through the comments. Alfie saying that Nas Reed robbed Norman Powell. He's saying to CM that OKC will get rolled up by the Clippers in the second round. How do you know the
Gotta
Clippers are gonna
make
make
it.
it?
Gotta make it, man.
How you know they're gonna make it though? We don't know they're gonna make it. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, they can't even guard Luca.
Hey,
But
hey,
um,
I'm back.
what's his name? Kawhi jump shot look cook.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about. Monk led all the bench players in all categories. What you talking about? Monk's had the most bench points in the league back-to-back years.
yeah.
OKC have the easiest first round, but the real test is the second round. Nah, everyone was saying that we had the easiest first round, bro. And look at the way we're struggling, fam, right now. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Playoff basketball is different
Wait, why is it easy? Is it because we're injured, or it's easy because it's just you're
because
62?
you're
Why is
Miami.
it easy?
Because you're Miami, innit?
So it's easy.
It's
All right,
easy.
okay. Don't let us get one more.
All right. I mean, it's still. I mean, you're leading the series 1-0, innit? So what do you want me to say, bro?
It's 1-1. It's 1-1. Don't let us get one more though.
All right. We're gonna start off with
All right,
OKC,
go ahead,
man.
CM.
Yeah, go on.
Yo. Hey, game one, that was a slugfest. Because here's the thing. I've literally watched both games in its entirety, slowed it down, I've rewinded certain parts. It started with a high level of physicality on both ends defensively. And at some point, the one question I'll ask is, why did the officials move away from that? Because I really like the level of physicality that was being allowed on defense from both teams. I think when you look at Shea and Cheeto mentioned it, like at times he was kind of forcing it on his drives, and that led to kind of turnovers, missed shots here and there. And you can see there was a little bit of frustration. He ended up getting it together and kind of getting into his rhythm even more so in game 2. But I think in game 1 it was really an adjustment. There was a bit of kind of adjusting to the physicality, the level of defense that was being sent Shea's way, and how you can navigate around that to get other guys going. The likes of Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, who also had a kind of struggled offensively as well. He had 5 blocks. Defensively, he was doing his thing, even though there was a little battle between him and, again, you see that again between him and Jonas Valanciunas, where he dominates on the boards. In game 2, I believe he has 11 points to kick off the game, Jonas Valanciunas. And, that was the blueprint for New Orleans to try and win the board battle, which they didn't do in game 2. And then try and funnel it to their big man to try and wear out Chet Holmgren. And that has worked for small parts prior to adjustments in both games. But yeah, I mean, even with a struggle, I'm looking at the two guys in New Orleans, and look, even though, of course, I want the Thunder to win, I find it so much of a shame that Zion is not in the series. Because when I look at Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, those are the two guys that they'll be looking at to lead them offensively, and they both struggled. CJ, we've had conversations. I know Rollins, he's had his conversation about CJ McCollum not being that guy, not being able to step up when his numbers being called on a consistent basis, at least, especially in New Orleans. But Brandon Ingram, we've given him so much praise, and I just feel like, especially in game 2, we saw it a lot. He was forcing it, driving, turning over the ball, offensive fouls, guys drawing charges. He starts to get frustrated because the ball has to be in his hands. And the success that he had towards the end of the game was because they took the ball out of Brett B.I.'s hands and they said, you get to your spot, we'll deliver the ball, and all you've got to do is rise up and shoot that jumper. Because nobody's blocking that. No, it's hard to guard when you're running the play. You're allowing BI to get to his spot in the mid-range, rise up and get the bucket. And he was doing that towards the end of the game. It was just too little too late. So that could be a blueprint for New Orleans moving forward in this series. Don't allow BI because Lou Dort was doing great defensive work on Brandon Ingram over the course of both games, and you could see it was getting him off. So don't allow him to be that lead ball handler. Allow them to run plays to get him to his spots and see how OKC adjusts from there. And then even at the end of game 1, when you look at the final sequences, Chet Holmgren gets a block on Larry Nance Jr., who had some good contributions in the game. Shea gets the and one. I believe Chet even had that one free throw to push out the lead just a little bit more after you missed the second. But Kayson Wallace's defense on CJ to end the game, he kind of disturbs him, even though he has a relatively open shot. He's off balance. It's an awkward jumper to take to win the game, and OKC get away with it. And you always look at those games and say, if you can get by and win those sort of gritty games, those gruesome type playoff games where you're battling for the entirety of the 48, then it will set you in a good stead moving forwards. And I think you saw a bit of that confidence, a bit of the weight lifted off a lot of those guys' shoulders in game 2, coming out, shooting, playing a lot more like we've seen and become accustomed to seeing OKC playing in a regular season, playing at their own pace, knocking down shots, of course. The likes of Jalen Williams. SGA was brilliant in getting into his spots in the mid-range, knocking down tough shots as well. You had contributions from Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort. He set the tone with Chet Holmgren. I mean, Chet went 5 for 5, 15 points in the first quarter. Lou Dort was shooting out of the gym as well. Those guys really set the tone early on in the game for what it would eventually become. And the second half, we didn't let off either. So credit to those guys. Second half, they continued laying it on the Pelicans, and they didn't find a lot of answers for us on the offensive end, and defensively, we were getting those stops. New Orleans didn't shoot the ball well either. So you could say potentially, well, the only way is up for the Pelicans in regards to the way they shot the ball and the things that we're starting to see drip fed into their offense to make them more of a threat, to make their stars more of a threat. Now, of course, even if BI improves, they're gonna need more. I've liked what I've seen from Trey Jones. My goodness, he on both ends of the floor, big shot.
Herb Jones or Trey
Trey,
Murphy?
sorry, Trey Murphy.
Trey Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, Trey Murphy. He's been a big shot maker in this series. First time I've really been able to sit down and watch him thoroughly.
He's good,
Herb
man.
Jones, defensively dangerous. You know, he's been put on Shea and he's kind of ruffled his feathers on a few occasions. In game one, he didn't have a great offensive game. They'll be expecting a little more from him too. But Jose Alvarado has kind of got himself into foul trouble here and there just because of the nature of his playing style. So they'll want him to be a little more, I wouldn't say conservative, but just a little more smarter with the way that he kind of guards players and pesters them, because it seems like the referees, the officials are not giving him the benefit of the doubt in regards to the little dirty things that he does in the game.
Yeah.
And we can all appreciate that. But if it's putting yourself into foul trouble and getting you out of the game, then it's only costing your team in the long run. When realistically, the Pelicans, they're missing their best player. They're going to need everybody to come together as a collective. And I will be the first one to say they are unlucky to be 2 games down. You could say potentially it could have been 1-1, you know, and it's a completely different series. If we lose the first game and then we pick up this one going back to New Orleans.
Yeah. I think when you look at everything in its entirety, to be honest, it could have gone either way for a lot of these teams. They could be 2-0s or they could be 1-1s, depending on like how you look at it. But yeah, like I hear what you're saying, man. Like the Thunder being young, so they're going through this experience. The Pelicans obviously are injured, and like this is what Alfie's saying here. You know that like they've obviously, you said it. They don't have Zion, their best player. Ingram's performances, I think, is just because obviously he's only returned towards the end of the regular season. He's rusty because he's had a lot of games out, mind you. Like it's not like he was out for like 10 days. He was out for quite a while. And now because your leading partner is basically trying to he's trying to make up for the fact that Zion's not there. So that's why he's forcing everything. And
he's almost overcompensating.
Yeah. And it's like good players will have to they have to understand, you know, okay, the best player is not here, but the rest of us collectively need to come together and contribute more in each of our ways so that we can win the games. Like that's what Miami's doing right now without Jimmy Butler. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like that's where that's going to happen. And I feel like it's going to be a big game 3 and we'll decide on who's going to win that and how the series is going to go from there. But a little later. But
one thing I will say, sorry to interrupt you,
go on.
is when I looked at OKC, the one thing that kind of epitomized that performance was the way, like you said, we shared the rock. There was one play where I think it started with J-Dub, goes out to Aaron Wiggins. He kind of gets rid of his defender. He finds J-Dub again in the corner, and then he drives, finds Wiggins again for the layup. It's that level of ball movement, getting guys involved and keeping them ready to go so they can answer the call when the question's asked. The big question that I have for New Orleans is, especially Brandon Ingram, are you that good enough of a playmaker to get your teammates involved, to allow them to have the confidence to take those shots and to make them? Because I know, Murphy, like he has the confidence. I remember in game 1, he was going for heat checks. It may have not worked out, but he had a stretch in that game where he was taking and making tough shots. But when it comes to the other guys, you need your star to step up and have the talent to be able to get guys involved, even when it's not the most obvious look. The best of the best players, especially playmakers, are able to find those spaces that other defenses can't see,
Yeah.
to really create easy offense, good offense. And I just feel like sometimes for them, it just looks a little rigid, a little tough, and that can be, a bad omen for you when your stars are not knocking down shots, and now the other guys have to pick up the slack,
Mm.
and then you got to go back in the other possession and play great defense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. Like I feel like it's gonna be an interesting game 3 back in New Orleans. They're under pressure. They have to perform without their best player. I wonder what Willie Green's gonna do to kind of get them in the right position to try and get a win in this series. But yeah, I feel like this is a good question from OKC, from Alfie about OKC saying that they're an exciting team, but the big issue is, can Chet handle a physical center as his matchup? What do you think about it? If can Chet go up against Zubac potentially in the next round, or Daniel Gafford in the next round? Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about it? How do you think he's handled his assignment against Valanciunas through the first 2 games?
I think he's done a pretty good job, where he may lack the frame and the strength in terms of brute strength. He has the verticality, and one of the most important things is positioning. Being able to, because what we've seen a lot from him so far in games is, when they throw that pass into Valanciunas, he's trying to deny that ball into him. So he's trying to get ahead, tap it, get the steal. It may not work out every time, but I think those things, anticipating the pass into the big man, is very important. That's where he's also going to need help from, nearby defenders in coming to help to try and take away that space and deny that ball into the big man. I do have my worries about it, having seen certain stretches in game 1 and game 2 where they're feeding it into Valanciunas and he is having his way. And when you look at the Clippers, for example, they have great 2-man games when you have James Harden, Zubac, of course, Mason Plumlee, who himself is a great playmaker also from the center position. Those guys that can mix it up. And then when you go in the elite of the elite in the conferences against Nikola Jokic, I mean, nobody can guard him.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the Lakers series in a sec, but so there are questions. And I think those are things that need to be developed for the future. But so far, I would say he's competing. And that's all you can ask from him and this fun side.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. I feel like it's going to be interesting. Like, what are you saying?
But they gotta guard him too on the offensive end, like Zubac and Gafford. Yeah. They gotta guard him.
Hey, they don't want to go to the perimeter. They don't want to go.
They don't want to be out there on the island. For real. All right, let's talk about this Clippers. Oh, no, go on, Chino. Go on. Say what you were going to say.
Yeah, I felt like he's been solid. And also, guy, the Pelicans, and I feel like he's doing what he can.
Yeah.
Because all shit got to do is really just put his hand up, get in there. I mean, you don't have the body, but as soon as they pick up their dribble, put your hands up, and you're gonna contest.
Yeah.
So it'll be all right. But against Jokic next year, you just gotta pray.
You gotta pray. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, man. Hey, let's move on to the Clippers and the Mavs, man. Like 1-1 series tied. Obviously, Clippers win the first game on Sunday. Like, they literally just ran through the Mavs. Like, it just looked like a big mess. We were kind of looking around and saying, "Hey, Luka, what's going on defense?" People just standing there, people throwing up hands. I was just like, you're just allowing these guys to run through you. Russ coming off the bench, getting what he wants. Harden was cooking. And then you switch it over to game 2 now. And Luka arrives again like this. And to be honest, this is not like, this is not like abnormal for Luka. He's dragged this team to a conference finals only a few years ago. So we know what he's about when it comes to the playoffs. But it seemed to be a lot more of a physical battle. they competed a lot more on the defensive end, the Mavs, and they really limited. Well, Kawhi coming back from injury also kind of slowed them down a little bit, but he definitely limited James Harden. You know, there was a few like questionable things from Ty Lue in terms of his use of Russell Westbrook during the game. I noticed that for sure. Like maybe should have kept him in for longer stretches, especially with Kawhi just coming back from injury and things of that nature. But it's now tied at 1-1 and is going back to Dallas for game 3. So what have you guys thought about this series so far?
Man, from what I've been able to see, that first game was it could have been demoralizing for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, we saw some crazy moments. Kyrie had 20 points in the third, so he was cooking, trying to get them back into the game. But obviously, the Clippers were able to close it out. Game 2 now, Luka Doncic on both ends of the floor, which I think would have surprised a lot of people. He took the defensive assignment, did a really good job offensively, doing what he does best. Obviously, Kyrie contributing, and all of those other guys. You got 18 from PJ Washington, 10 from Derrick Jones Jr., efficient from there as well, and then Derek Lively and Maxi Kleber giving you some stuff off the bench too. When you throw in a Kawhi Leonard, I'm always worried, right? Because it's like you go into game 1, we're speaking about inflammation on the knees, and it's that vagueness. And he comes into game 2, doesn't exactly look like himself, which, to be fair, when he was coming back from injury, I believe earlier on in this season, he kind of had a stretch where he needed to play himself back into that elite Kawhi Leonard form.
Yeah.
So it was always dangerous throwing him into a matchup like this, which, okay, you've got the insurance of being 1-up. But if Dallas win this now, they take that advantage all of a sudden, then you're in a difficult position going over to Dallas now and seeing what you can do. So, yeah, it was an interesting game. Obviously, a great performance by James Harden in game 1, somewhat nullified. Those guys, I think him, PG took 14 shots in the game. Kawhi took 17. Zubac didn't have a very efficient performance either. So he wasn't able to thrive as that center. Obviously, when you look at the options that Dallas have in those positions too, they should be more than able to rotate in and out of the game and give those guys some issues if they're locked in and dialed in on that defensive end. So I find this series very interesting because a lot of people would draw comparisons to like when Luka was going up against them. The feel good bubble series is when he was barbecue chicken against Zubac. A lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
This Dallas Mavericks team has come leaps and bounds, I think, in a regular season in regards to the way they were competitive, the trades that they made before the deadline, being able to bring in certain guys like Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, and co, and becoming a much better defensive team, which I thought was always going to be the key, especially when you have a coach like Jason Kidd who focuses on building teams that are great on defense. You have to focus in on that because you have 2 of the greatest offensive guards in the game in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So they've come leaps and bounds, and now it's about how they can compete against the team in the Clippers where they've had a shaky end to the season. Let's be real. Yeah. They had a nice little, I believe, 25 game stretch. I believe kind of at the close to the midpoint, but kind of just that after the start of the season. But after that All-Star break, there's been a lot of questions asked around their identity, whether they were able to find that come playoff time. And even though I think they have the players, the quality to do so, there will still be questions asked based off of the previous performances from a Paul George, a James Harden in terms of consistency in the playoffs, the fitness of a Kawhi Leonard, because that series relies on the reliability again on those 3 players. And if they're not able to step up and find the answers to the problems that Dallas are dishing out to them, it could be another disappointing postseason for the Clippers, who, let's be real, they're searching for that ring.
Yeah.
They're in search for it. and you don't want to be in a position where you're going long in round one, a long series in round one, and there's a risk that you get thrown out completely. And that could be that.
Yeah, because I told you when we were speaking about who's under pressure, the Clippers are under huge pressure to win this championship, right? Because like you can't acquire and assemble this team the way it has been. To be fair, they've been under pressure for the last 3, 4, 5 years because you can't put together this roster that they've been able to build. And then even added on top of it now with James Harden in there and not expect to win. I feel like they came into the game. It's kind of similar to the Celtics. After cooking your opponent in game one, you came into the game thinking that they weren't going to make adjustments and the game wasn't going to be tough. I'm not saying that they I feel like, you know, they're professionals. A lot of them are very experienced in the playoffs. They know that, you know, no series is going to be easy, but it's still that still has there's a creep and a thought in your mind at times where, hey, we did what we did last time around. What we need to do is, you know, we just do the same thing again, and then we should be good. No, that's not how it works, because the other team's going to make some adjustments, and you're going to have to be able to deal with that on the fly as a player, like, and then the coaches too and the coaching stuff. So, you know, it's just interesting how much the game changed, and then obviously we're looking at the stars, right? The stars will change the game. Luka came into this game saying, "I'm going to make sure I take something back with me, so when we're at home, we can do something," and he showed that on both ends of the floor, by the way, because in that fourth quarter, nobody could score when Luka was guarding. I think there was like the stat was probably what 5 points between 3 different players that when Luka was guarding in that fourth. So it's like, you know, for me, the Clippers are under serious pressure. They got to go split those road games if they really want to be taken seriously in this series. Because if the Mavs get any sort of momentum in those home games that they've got now, it could be good night for them in this round one. You know what I'm saying? Alfie saying Dallas seems to have found rhythm when Maxi Kleber plays a 5. If the Clippers lose the first round, Steve Ballmer will have to blow up everything, firing everyone. And he can't. Because I think Kawhi re-signed. PG's like close, apparently. Like they're gonna find an agreement. They're moving into that new stadium from next year. Like,
you gotta have it. I feel like it's very underrated, the fact that whenever a team moves into a new stadium, you need to bring a glamorous product into that stadium that will attract not just the existing fans, because you've got to kind of convince the existing fans to follow them over and then attract new ones as well.
Yeah,
it is such an underrated aspect of whenever a sports team fires up, gets a new arena, they've got to bring something to attract new people and existing fans. And it's a very interesting predicament that the Clippers find themselves in. I think they're a superb team, but it's just those questions will always be asked if the success doesn't match.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to happen, because I feel like this is going to be one of the we did say this was going to be one of the series of the first round, but yeah, let's see what happens. All right, let's move on. Timberwolves Suns, man. Now this is going to lead into another conversation. I'm going to go off on a tangent when we in the middle of when we get through this. There's another tangent I got to go on with this one, yeah. But so far, man, like it's been a very energetic defensive performance from the Timberwolves, right? Where they have not allowed Devin Booker to settle into any sort of rhythm, right? He has largely struggled during this series. The fouls that he was getting in the regular season, he's not getting them anymore, which he should understand. But the defense, which they were the best defensive team in the league, the Timberwolves this year, right? They've translated that straight into the playoffs. Half court defense, really bringing the game to the Suns. And the Suns' weaknesses are now showing. When you've got the big three on the court, there's no point guard in between them to really call the plays, slow things down when they really need them. their point guard is on the bench, Isaiah Thomas, who hasn't played regular basketball in the NBA for a very, 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 very long time now, right? CP3 is sitting at home, or I think he was sitting in the crypto,
Yeah.
watching watching the Clippers, right? He's somebody who was on your team only a few years ago that was helping you in the finals, and he's now sitting at home. But it's really interesting. And then obviously, you've got, like Alfie saying, Yusuf Nurkic, who's supposed to be anchoring that defense, struggling, because he's not getting the help that he needs. Grayson Allen, now regular season is done. Their big three are now the ones that are going to have the ball, right? They're going to have the ball, and they're the ones taking the shots. He's been one of the most consistent 3-point shooters this year in the league, the whole league. And he's not getting his shots now because now it's the big three time. They have a big, 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 big worry right now because I haven't even spoken about the Timberwolves individuals where Anthony Edwards, probably one of the most physically imposing and athletic players in the league. He shouldn't be taking those pull-up threes though. He's better if he goes and drives inside because he'll be able to get everything there. But then you look at Rudy Gobert. Now the things that we were talking about when what was happening in Utah is not happening anymore.
Respect.
He's not getting dragged into the perimeter and then on that island where things can happen. He's not doing it. And I even watched on Saturday. There was a moment where he was on the perimeter, right? And he didn't get handsy. He didn't panic. He just followed the play till it got to the rim, and then he did his business to make the stop. Like, you're looking at Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Some of the good defense. They got KD. We got Jaden McDaniels. Look at the way he's playing. He top scored in game 2. So it's like something's going on over there. The confidence from the regular season that's translated into the playoffs. I think they got themselves the best matchup they could get in a round 1, to be honest with you, because this Suns team, they struggled during the regular season. They're struggling right now.
Real quick. And this is all I'm saying to you, man. You see how you mentioned all of that, and we still ain't even mentioned the highest paid guy on their team, Cat. Because you know why? Because why? Nas Reed. That's why he deserves the 6 man, because he comes in and he make up for all the Cat slackness that he got. He makes shots. He come in, he makes shots. He play hard defense. You know what I'm saying? He do all of the things that Cat not supposed to be doing, but not doing with his zesty ass jump shot. And
Hey, but CM, man, like, you're funny, bro. That's a zesty jump shot. Hey, but CM, what's your thoughts on this, bro? Because this was like, whilst we were like kind of expecting it, we were expecting more fight from the Suns. You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching the games, I'm expecting them to be like, all right, go on the run now. D-Book is there. We saw you last season. D-Book was cooking in the playoffs. That first round against the Clippers, he was cooking. But it's not happening. KD, not happening. He's had a really good season, but not happening.
Yeah. I loved certain parts of game 1 because I was watching both teams compete on against each other defensively. Again, having that playoff level of physicality and defense and testing each other and seeing the likes of Anthony Edwards take on that assignment, guarded by KD at times, and succeeded in those moments where you have to take and make big shots for your team. I mean, some of this series, seeing Anthony Edwards just embrace the moment, being that guy, and honestly, he's gonna be a big star in this league. Just by the way he acts, the bravado, the attitude towards success, the leadership as well, which is a really important attribute. I mean, Minnesota have been magnificent defensively, I think, in this series. To have a guy in Devin Booker who we all know can perform in these moments, struggling both games. Bradley Beal, I think he shot 6 for 17 in game 2, like struggling in a penitentiary. Sorry, Kevin Durant as well. You slow him down by not allowing him to get to his spots in the mid range that easily. So you kind of you can't stop Kevin Durant, but you can slow him down, especially with the age that he's at. He's not gonna be every night the most efficient scorer on the court, especially if you make life hard for him. So then you gotta ask Grayson Allen to make some shots. Eric Gordon, who's a very streaky shooter, he had a decent performance in game 2, but game 3 could be a different story. Royce O'Neal is a guy that I like, but more so for his defensive acumen. He can make shots too, but again, it's a big ask with the lack of depth that they do have, which is so important to the reason why they need a Bradley Beal or Devin Booker to come alive. And same with Kevin Durant. You mentioned Yusuf Nurkic. I think he's done a decent job on the boards, but overall, if you're speaking about the guy he's going up against in Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, it's night and day. And what we're seeing from Rudy Gobert,
don't say DPOY. There's somebody down there that's gonna tell you you're wrong, bro.
Bro, he is my. I'm repping him and I'm giving him his respect.
I think he does deserve it. No, and it's no disrespect to Bam. Bam's been really good this year for sure. Like,
phenomenal.
But they're gonna go, because if we do it by the criterion, I'm sorry, I'm going off on the tangent, sorry to cut you off here. But it's like contribution to winning plus what you're doing gives you the vote, right? Like, it gives you the head of somebody else.
But here's the thing though. And it's not a Bam thing. It's not a Bam thing. Bam on the court, Miami have the 5th best defense in the league. What? No, if Bam on the court, Miami defense will be the best defense if he stays on the court the whole game. When Bam is off the court, Miami have the 29th best defense, or 28th, the worst defense in the league. That's a big jump.
It's a big jump.
With Rudy on the court, the Timberwolves have the number 1 defense or something. The top with him on and off, they're still top 3.
Yeah, like
that should show you. Like, he's not really doing nothing special. Because if the defense is not moving with the person on or off the court, come on, man. And then another thing is, I mean, I know Bam is not gonna win it because of the whole voting cry, the whole black thing that they look for when it comes to defensive player. They want blacks and blah 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 because they didn't learn from Triple J. Obviously, he's a fraud, and you saw that. But the thing is, with Bam, the stats show Bam doesn't get blocked because he stops you from getting to the rim in the first place. Miami is number 1 in not allowing paint touches and not allowing people to get to the rim. We're number 1 in not allowing with free throws. We don't get a lot of free throws shoot against us. We're number 1 in the league with that. Have you noticed that in the series already, rolling the game 2 games? How many times have y'all been to the line? It's either like silly fouls.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's only Jason Tatum, really.
JT went to the line, I think 7 or 8 times, and he scored 5, I think, or 6.
He had, I think, in game 1, he had more free throws than the whole Miami roster.
Like
he had 8, they had 6.
Yeah, so, JT be going into the paint and gets fouls, like so. But yeah, I mean, look, I hear you in it, like it's just the way that they vote, the criteria, it's all over the place, isn't it? Like the way they've done it over the last few years has been the amount of blocks that they do, the steals, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what they really look at. They don't look at the other side of it, the kind of like hidden stats, essentially, right? Because it is, and then it's about their contribution to the team as well. Like if the team is winning, has a winning record. Okay.
Should I ask you guys a question?
Go on.
Should the things, because I'm thinking about Defensive Player of the Year, right? All of these awards where sometimes those hidden stats can be blurred and not particularly understood by a lot of the voters. Should players have more of a say in determining end of season trophies?
Yes, that's a good topic. I was going to bring it up on today's show. Thank you, CL. Here's the thing. Come here. Here's the thing. It's someone asked me about the fans. I saw someone asking about fans having more of a say, fans and players. Yes
That was me.
and no.
I said fans should have a vote, like depending on the fan, innit? Like there'll be some
Yes,
fans that are, a bit hit.
because because you got to look at it too, bro. Because like for example, right, certain fan base are huge, i.e., the Lakers,
Yep,
Boston. They're huge fan bases because
yep.
they've been around the longest. Blah blah blah. So you got to take into consideration, right? Fans would just vote bullshit like Porzingis Defensive Player of the Year because that's our center. Let's pay. We have a lot of fans. Let's just vote. That's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, it should be looked at. Fans' vote should be. Why you man
Nah,
laughing? Why?
look at the chat if you can, bro. Look at the chat. Just it's so funny, man.
I'm sorry, Chino, man.
Look at the chat, man. Look at the chat.
And then,
Yeah.
And,
And
bro,
then,
and then and big task at hand, bro. Like, hey, nah, it's so funny,
I don't see big toss at hand.
bro. That's
Oh,
hilarious. Because they got their matchup. We're gonna speak about it as well, man. The Knicks and the Sixers is because that was a really good
bro,
game,
hey,
bro.
fam,
Towards the end,
fam,
Jesus Christ,
I'm watching it, and
Jesus.
I'm like, why did Jimmy went down in the first, like, because if Jimmy didn't, like, wasn't
Yeah,
playing on a bad
Jimmy.
MCL,
I don't
we
know why
won
Jimmy
that game,
continued to
and
play.
we wanted the Knicks, bro. They are food, bro. I'm telling
I
you,
don't know
it's just
why
because,
Jimmy did that. Like I get
it's
the
because,
understand. I get that he's like like I'm a warrior. I'm gonna play for everything. But bro, just leave the game. Leave the
yeah,
game because it would have because you made it worse. He made it worse. He did like 3 or 4 dunks after that. So you're just your impact. It was stupid.
go sit down, stop running,
It was
sit
stupid,
down.
bro. Hey,
Yeah,
but look,
bro, listen,
but
bro,
no, I got a question. I got a question for you, man. I got a question for you.
go ahead.
Watching the way KD's getting worked by Anthony Edwards, in these first 2 games, do you man think that it's now we really have to look carefully at these young stars taking over? Because I remember I spoke about this in mid-season. That are we now experiencing the changing of the guard, man? The young players are taking over the league because
I
we're
mean, yeah,
we're in a position now where for the first time in I think maybe 12, 13,
but
15 years,
okay, here's my
we're not,
thing, though. Here's my
we
thing.
might not see Steph, KD, or LeBron in round 2 of the playoffs.
Okay, here's my thing, though. Where
But
do you put Jokic? Is Jokic young or old? Where are you putting Jokic?
see, so you remember when we were talking about face of the league and all of this type of stuff? Remember we were talking
Stop
about
it.
that when we had that discussion, and I was like, okay,
Go sit
you
down
had
with your mama. Go sit
you
down.
had LeBron, KD, Steph, Harden. Those are that generation of players, and then after that, it's Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, and then
Yeah.
beyond that, then it's Tate, Donovan Mitchell,
I
Devin
mean,
no,
you're putting
Booker,
Tatum in this
those
young. Tatum
guys.
is like
no,
26,
but
27. Stop
yeah,
doing the
but
Marcus Rashford thing, bro.
hey, stop, stop,
Stop.
stop, 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 stop.
Stop doing
No,
that.
stop,
No,
stop,
he's
stop.
19. He's 19. He's 19. Marcus Rashford been 19 for 19 years. He's 19. He's
And then
19.
the young bucks here is Anthony Edwards, Ja, um,
Zion.
the
Mm,
Zion, like
Luca.
yeah, Luca, like
Luca.
I'm saying Shea, like even though Shea and Tatum are not far in age, by the way. Like
Yeah.
Tatum is only 4 months older than Shea. Shea will be 26 soon, so it's like it's hard. It's hard to say in it. It's hard to say, but like Shea's on the right path because he's about to become an MVP. So it's like he's starting to hit them kind of levels and stuff, right? So the thing that's interesting though is that I'm watching KD and I'm like, he can't even get to his spot. That mid-range pull-up that he always gets into, he can't get into it. I'm watching it in the game and I'm like, they
Because the
finally
way they're guarding him, though, I
I
don't
mean,
think
I get it, but it's like
the
his age.
roster is just ass, though, bro.
CM spoke about his age. He's 35 now. He's not young. Like we look at KD, Steph, and LeBron. LeBron this year has done really like some amazing things. when you look at his age and compare it to other players that were his age in the league, right? But even him, you're seeing it in certain moments in this series against the Nuggets, and we'll go into that one a bit later, right? Where he's not making the shots that he usually makes. He's gassing himself out. I saw in that second game, LeBron was slowing the tempo down because he was tired. He's having to play a large amount of minutes because he can't rely on the teammates that he has. And the teammates I'm speaking about is D'Lo, Rui, Reeves, and the
No,
rest of
don't
the
do
bench.
D'Lo like that though.
No, D'Lo,
D'Lo had an
no,
amazing game.
no, D'Lo defo cooked.
Hey,
I'm not saying. I'm just
You
saying.
know, let me be
Game one,
honest.
he looked.
Listen, I'm gonna be
Game
honest.
one, he was a
I've
cold.
always thought I've always thought Laker fan overreact with Darvin Ham, but game two showed me Darvin Ham did not manage that game properly. He did
Bro.
not call the
You,
right plays. He
you
did
see,
not.
Because
did you
Anthony
see AD?
Davis,
Did you see AD on the
Was
bench?
cooking.
You see AD on the bench.
Bro,
When there's a timeout and Darvin Ham does his usual thing, grab the board, yeah. AD was looking at him for like 2 seconds. He just got up and walked off, bro. He was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this, man. I don't care." Like,
bro, I'm telling you,
but
he's been horrible.
he's honorable.
but did you see in that game two in particular, right? Jokic down the stretch, money. It didn't matter what Anthony Davis was doing. He didn't have as good as a performance as he did earlier in the game. Nikola Jokic though, in the block, in the post, it did not matter.
but
And it's
they went away from the game plan though, because LeBron and AD were doing pick and roll, bro, and it was working, right? So I don't know why in the fourth they went away from it, and then at the same time, Jamal Murray had a stinking game.
Mhm.
Basically, the whole game he was smelling through 3 quarters, and then he has the ability to heat up. We know, we've seen him, and he did it in that fight. Like, and it's like I mean, I watched that game twice, bro. I had to watch it twice, like just to be able to take it in a bit more. It's like when LeBron missed the open three, and I know we've moved into another topic and
Yeah.
we're going straight into it, but let's go straight into it because we might as well, right? Like LeBron missing that open three. When I looked at it again, the second time I was like, there was no choice. Like the KCP's on the ground. That was the guy who was guarding you. He's on the ground out of the game now. In that moment in the play,
Mhm.
you take the shot. Like it's the only shot you have. He took it and he misses. Like I'm just like they were unlucky to end up 2-0 in this series. When you're up 20, going into the final stretches of that third and then going into the fourth, you don't lose the lead though. The fact that AD was non-existent in that fourth, like I found it very interesting that Darvin Ham wasn't refreshing his lineups a little bit to keep LeBron and AD fresh as possible heading into that fourth, because I think what happened is they really just got gassed out. It was just such a physical battle that it just ended at that point, and it's like it was interesting for me just to watch it, man.
All I
Like,
gotta say is, I felt bad for Braun, but all I gotta say is, someone talking about, oh, I'm the best defender in the league, and blah blah blah. I should be a finalist. Got his fucking
Face fried.
for the game winning. Got his face.
Fried. Deep
Bro,
fried catfish.
hey,
Hey, that was a tough shot by
listen,
Murray though.
and this is what he can do, man. I remember I was watching something earlier on after the game, and they were giving credit to Nikola Jokic, who always wants to get his guys involved. I think in that game as well, leading up to that shot, Michael Porter Jr. hits an incredible free to tie the game.
yeah,
It's certain stuff like that that just you can appreciate that core of Denver, because everybody is ready to go, especially when it matters most. Aaron Gordon, KCP, Michael Porter Jr. Every single game I watch this guy, it doesn't matter whether he's smothered, wide open, he will take and make a
He
shot.
don't
He
miss.
is
He don't
he's
miss, bro.
cold blooded.
Bro,
Cold
I
blooded.
think Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, if
Listen,
if he didn't have those injuries, yeah, when he was in college, I'm telling you, we would have been witnessing like We
Oh
be
yeah,
speaking, we be speaking
he
about it
would
like
be in the conversation.
we would be speaking because when I tell you like there's no player in the league yeah that can take shots when you're being heavily contested. He doesn't care. He's just automatic with it, and it's like that's the danger for the Lakers, right? When you have a player like that in the team who can just basically say, you know what, like I don't care, I can hit my threes. It will kickstart a run for their team, like whenever they're in that bad stretch, and like it's just unlucky for me for the Lakers where D'Lo responds to the criticism from game one, and I think he hit 7 threes, if I'm not
Bro,
mistaken, 7 threes in the game.
7 of 11 on
Yeah,
3-pointers,
yeah, he
63.6%.
cooked like he did his job. I think they still need more from Rui and Reeves. I don't think they're giving enough. Honestly, I think defensively, like on that last play, especially in the game, right? I think if anybody was gonna do that job, I think LeBron should have made that decision. He should have made the call and switched on to him, right? Because I think LeBron would have definitely altered that shot or got the block, like as opposed to AD, because AD just kind of seemed a little bit like hesitant, like towards, and then like it was a pretty late contest. He was probably about second off. Like I think LeBron as the leader at that point, but at the same time, I'm saying this, he's definitely gassed because
Yeah.
at that point in
Do,
the game, yeah, like you
do
can't
you
even make
think that AD having, even though it's a walk-off shot, end of the game,
that.
do you think AD having 5 fouls leading up to that point
Yeah.
has kind of altered the way that he even guards it? Because not potentially that shot, but even when you're in that moment in the game, you're playing with 4 or 5 fouls, your mentality kind of changes in the way you want to guard things. You're a bit more tentative, you think a bit more, you overthink sometimes in how you want to handle situations to make sure that you don't pick up that next foul and potentially foul out or put your team in jeopardy because you're out of the game. Do you think potentially that pays that's a factor in the way he defends that final shot? Is it just a thing where Jamal Murray steps up and it's just brilliant offense?
Like I hear what you're saying about him having 5 fouls here, but like even at that point in the game, yeah, like he's speaking about DPOY awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna defend that. You got it. Like you have to. But I just think he was just a second off. And to be honest with you, Jamal Murray was just he's gonna throw a Hail Mary. I haven't had a great game at all. I'm heating up in the fourth. It's heat check time for me. And he speaks about taking mid-range shots over 3-pointers at times because he feels like he's a lot closer to the basket. He's in control of his shot more when he's there. And that's why he likes to go to it a lot of the time. And he decided to do it then, and he wins in the game. Now, what do you guys think about the foul on D'Lo in the game? Because obviously there was no call.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron was referencing it in the post game press conference, saying,
Yeah.
"Why do we have a replay center?" When you look at the replay, you can clearly see his hands been touched. Which it's a contentious one, but what do you think about that? Because it could change the dynamic of the game if the foul is called and he's gonna get himself a couple free throws. D'Lo, like, what do you think about that?
I think, like you said, it's definitely a situation that, if it's a different scenario, can change the course of the game. There's another thing that I'm sure we're going to delve into when we head over to the Eastern Conference, where it was the same situation. But again, I can't look past the fact that for whatever reason, your execution down the stretch not just allowed you to squander a 20-point lead, but also lose the game in the fashion that they did. And that is a collective issue. That's a coaching issue, execution issue on the court, not just from the role players, but the star players as well. And that's something that they need to speak about heading back to LA to try and make it right. So I hear it. A referee officiating calls can be missed, and then guess what? They slap up that final 2 minute report, and everybody gets outraged because they say this was a foul and it was missed. This wasn't. Look, we'll delve all into that.
We
But
gotta scrap the thing. Chino was tweeting. Chino was like, "Hey, just scrap the 2 minute report, man. There's no point." Chino tweeted it. Like, I was like, "Yeah, you're right, bro, because
yeah.
we don't need it. If you're gonna come and apologize after the game, yeah, we don't need it. Just leave it alone, innit? We all know what it is. Let the fans, let the media discuss it, but don't come with your report."
Can I throw a spanner in the works, right?
Yeah, throw the spanner.
Is it good that we have a situation where referees are held accountable to the public to acknowledge the mistakes that they make? Because when I look at football in comparison, that we watch soccer for our American watchers, Canadians, those guys, they get away with murder in football sometimes, and nobody gets closure. Not to say that closure helps by any means, because guess what? Certain guys, it's going to make them even more enraged because they saw you made the wrong decision. In the game, it wasn't acknowledged. And now after the game, a day later, you want to tell me that the thing that I saw at the time was actually correct and you got that wrong as a paid professional? So it's kind of like a win-win, lose-lose at times, you know?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. The reason why is because I think if we're going off of like these people are individuals will make mistakes.
Mhm.
It's part and parcel of just life, right? You're gonna make a mistake, and it could happen at very crucial moments in high pressure situations, right? To come and apologize to me and explain to me why you made that decision, for me is nonsensical. Because if you're gonna apologize for the decision that you've made, that you said it was clearly wrong, you have to replay the game. For in the instance of fairness, replay the game, because you made a decision that now led to one team losing, and you're telling me afterwards, I'd rather you just replay the game. You've acknowledged it. We've done our review. We replay the game, but we can't do that because of logistical reasons. You know, you have to consider people's health and all these types of things. So that's why I'm not a fan of it, in my opinion. Allow us and allow us and the media to discuss these things. Big Task at hand wants to talk about this game, so we're gonna go to the game. Let's talk about. So I want to speak a little bit about Philly first, yeah, because Joel Embiid, yeah, is definitely hurt, bro. I seen him. I don't know what's going on. They're pumping him full of some painkillers, clearly, for him to get onto the court. I'm seeing his knee bleeding and stuff like that through the brace and all that. Like, he's putting his body on the line, and it just made me think about basketball just generally. And I'm like, it is such a grueling sport. It doesn't seem like that, right? Like, you know, when you look at it from certain aspects, but it is such a grueling sport to the point that these players are putting themselves through wars, especially when you get to the playoffs, when things actually start to matter. They're putting their body on the line just so that they can win a championship, right? Like I think what he's doing is commendable to the fans of Philly and his teammates, but I worry about his long-term health, because what's gonna happen, yeah, if, let's say, they get through this series and claw it back, winning 4 of the next 5 games, and then they have to go to a conference semifinals, and then they have to go to a conference finals. What shape is Joel Embiid even going to be in? I mean, you can see currently in this game, in these 2 games, he has been operating way outside of his usual area of the paint. He's basically playing as a guard, playing on the perimeter, shooting threes. You know, he's not really getting to his spot in the mid range. You know, and he's not really banging with the best of them. You know, in the paint, because he knows of. You know, I mean, in that first game, you saw him throw the ball off the backboard and go for the dunk, lands on his knee, and he goes down. And you're like, oh no, like he's actually done his knee here just doing that move. And it was such a mad move as well. I mean, what do you think about him first? Because I mean, mind you, he's averaging like 38 in this series so far. Like he's still giving you work. Like, which is surprising for like the way he can't even run. Like
That's the
literally,
thing.
bro, he can't run.
Like Joel Embiid, he's putting up stats, but he's looking a shed of himself. And like you said, I think about the way Joel Embiid used to play, right? And the way he's kind of transformed into the guy who has the ability to draw fouls, which is a skill within itself.
Mm.
And even just looking at him now, I heard on commentary that dunk was his first dunk since returning. When we look at the timeline of the season, him playing in MVP caliber form, he gets a little injury, comes back early, and then does his knee in again. I mean, my goodness, man, it's tough. You see him go down. You see the way he plays in game 2 in terms of the way he's moving around the court. Like he hardly wants to leave the ground because of that risk. And now you're looking at his eyes. I saw a doctor kind of analyzing and saying how one side you could see the wrinkle and the other side it was not the same. Like the mobility on one of the upper regions of his cranium is affected by whatever is being pumped into his body to try and sustain his knee injury or whatever other injuries that are going on in that Joel Embiid body. And like you said, it's not a good thing for his longevity. When you think about the journey they've got to go through, is it worth it? Is it obviously Philadelphia, you do it for the city, but is it worth it considering the way they have to come through the play-in and then battle all these teams to even get a shot to be in the conference finals for the first time in Joel Embiid's career? Is it all worth it? I don't know. I don't know if it will be worth it. When you think about the 2 games, we spoke about the 2-minute report, right? On the last one where Tyrese Maxey, he has a crucial turnover in the possession prior. But, oh, well, let's not talk about Mr. Nick Nurse pump faking timeouts. He's there like this, and then he wants to complain after the game. Call the timeout, big man. Call the timeout.
Hey, that man was saying on ESPN, hey, I'll be in the paint, bro, calling the timeout. Hey,
bro,
like stop the game, bro.
Come on, man. Like call the timeout. Show it, stand on business.
Stand on business, bro.
Like even in that situation, right? The 2-minute report says both Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson fouled Tyrese Maxey in the moment where he goes down, loses the ball, and then DiVincenzo 1-3 miss, offensive rebound, Hartenstein back out to DiVincenzo, and they take the lead. And I'm like, especially when that 2-minute report comes out, because first it was a crazy end to the game. Yeah. I was going wild. Yeah. I was looking at the reaction online, and then a day when I see the 2-minute report come up, I'm like, okay, what's the point? And I hear why you and Chino say what you say, because you're not going to allow them to replay it. You're not going to allow them to get back into that situation and alter that game. So the Knicks are leading 2-0, 2 tough games, considering that Jalen Brunson has severely struggled, to the credit of Philadelphia.
You reckon he's tired, or is that the defense of the Sixers? Because Brunson has been cooking, right?
Yes.
The last 10 games of the season, he was averaging 38 plus or something like that. That's like crazy, right? Do you reckon that Tibbs has run him into the ground, or is it because the court is now smaller? There's more. They're blitzing him more. They're trying to make him work for his buckets. Like, do you reckon that's why he's struggling?
I think it's a bit of both. I've loved what the 76ers have done in terms of not allowing him to be comfortable in those areas, not allowing him to get into his bag of tricks when it comes to his footwork, deceiving defenders, throw multiple guys at Jalen Brunson. When he tries to get into his spots, they're bumping him. They're meeting him with physicality. And sometimes the guy of that frame, of that size, they'll find it difficult to regain that balance and to have the consistency of making that jump shot on a consistent basis. So I do like that. Obviously, you look at the minutes those guys were playing the entirety of the regular season.
Yeah.
And you can't help but question the fact that maybe, just maybe, because Brunson in his own right had an MVP caliber season
Yeah, he
in the
did.
New York Knicks,
Yeah.
and that involved a lot of, you know, blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of minutes to get to this moment, to finish as the 2 seed, and now you're going in, and the Sixers are making sure that your life is a living hell, and you've got to work hard for what you have. But look at Josh Hart. He
Yeah.
stepped up in game
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Just
Josh Hart.
making,
Shout out to him and Deuce
yeah,
McBride. Deuce
yeah,
McBride has been hitting his shots. That game
hey,
one, I think he scored 5 or 6 threes. Like he's
hey,
been hitting his shots, man. Like like where he's somebody who wasn't even really in the rotation start of the season, and he's worked his way to get in there. So it's like, you got to shout out him. Dante DiVincenzo, obviously showing his experience, what he can bring to the table. Like the Knicks, obviously they work hard, man, especially on those offensive rebounds, man. They are
yeah,
the best offensive rebounding team in the league. So I'm not surprised by that. Like, but the Sixers will look at it and say both games were close. We're now going back home. That 2-0
mm,
lead right now is, if you can't steal one on the road, we're gonna come back to the Garden and maybe we'll have something for you. Like it's gonna be interesting to watch, and I can't wait to watch that third game. And
yeah.
big task and big up to big task at hand. I know
Hey,
you're
yo,
gone, bro.
who inbounded the ball?
Kyle Lowry. Hey, no, yo,
Big fat
yeah,
stinking Kyle
bro,
Lowry.
bro, yeah. Hey, no, because I seen you do the somebody somebody quoted the video. Someone quoted the video, fam. That was too funny. But yeah, the video when he was talking about Kyle Lowry, bro, and on in the space, fam. But yeah, Kyle Lowry, even that play, inbounding the ball, like, bro, nobody was switched on. What are you doing? Nobody was switched on. What are you doing? Like, take your time. Like,
He was being big fat stinking Kyle Lowry.
it was mad. It was mad. I mean, look, I think if I look at it, yes, Maxi was mauled. Maxi's also had a very good series so far. He's unlucky to not be on the winning side. Let's definitely shout out
Can
Tyrese
you
Maxey.
believe? Can you believe we drafted Precious Achua over Maxi? The guy who's on the other
Hey,
side,
hey,
who
but
haven't got a minute in this series,
the Sixers, the
over the
Sixers
guy
have been
that's the best player in this series right now.
the Sixers have been unlucky though.
Crazy.
When you look at their number one picks, yeah, in Ben Simmons and Markel Fultz. Honestly, to be fair, they did make the right choices. Those years when they drafted them players, then you got JB and JT at 3 each, and you're like, oh, because now when you look at the careers of those two players as opposed to JT and JB, they should have picked JT and JB instead of Markel Fultz and Ben Simmons. But that's another time. That's another story for another time. And that's going to be a good game 3 back in Philly. We'll make sure to keep an eye on that. Let's talk about the
Hey,
Bucks, the Pacers, though.
I feel bad for Embiid, man. I don't think.
Oh
I
yeah,
think he
yeah,
needs to
Chino.
shut
Hey,
it
Chino.
down.
Yo, Chino,
Uh,
talk about it, bro, because you've been
he
you've been
gotta
one of
shut
them.
it down, bro.
You were
It's
talking about
so
his knee.
bad,
You were talking about his
bro.
knee and shaving his meniscus and that.
Yo, listen. I can talk about it from my perspective,
Mm,
as in someone doing an ACL and a meniscus surgery. I don't have the money in beat. I don't have. I don't have 50 cent the money in beat have. Not yet, at least. But the thing is, he have money and he have all the best doctors in the world that could get his knee, and he's still in pain. And imagine me, right, with regular doctors, and
mm,
the pain I feel, bro. Like I'm telling you, the pain is unbearable.
mm.
And the only way the pain can stop, like not stop, but you limit the pain a little bit. Cause I have a buddy too, the same thing. We had to go down like in our weight. You
Yeah,
got to go on some crazy dieting, weight room, take off the fat and just muscle and go down in your weight so the knee can stop carrying so much weight up top. And everybody can look at him and see that his knee is carrying a lot of weight.
weight. Yeah,
So it's just you can see blood coming through his sleeve on his knee. You can tell they're just pumping him with painkillers. And for me,
I will never ever take the side of a franchise, no matter who it is. If it's my team that I like or a team that I hate, I will never take the side of a franchise. And I feel like what the Sixers are doing to him is wrong. I feel like it's just like what what's the name did to Time Lord and then got rid of him.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah. So
saying?
and
It's,
IT as well, man. What happened to IT as
exactly.
well with his hip?
Like these things like I need to start being people agent because you got to start telling your client like a lot of these agents need to start getting fired because you got
Yeah.
to start telling your client, yo, you got to protect yourself and your money. Like, so what if you play 5 games this season? At least you're gonna be healthy. Come back next season. It ain't gonna be guaranteed that you, excuse me, that you're gonna get to 60. But at least your body will be healthier than it is you forcing your way through. I personally don't think MB should have came back at all this season.
Mm.
I don't think he should have came back this season. And the whole 65 rule, 65 game, that's what rushed him back in the first place.
But
Um, go
but
ahead.
no, but like no, with that, yeah, the whole 65 thing, yeah, like there was the point at which
You
he got
want it?
injured. The point at which he got injured, at that point, they said that if he missed 9 more games, he wouldn't have been part of it. So at that point, you should have just shut him down then. Like, but I think in
Well,
their eyes, they're like, oh, you know, when he was on the court, he was playing like MVP. So if we just make sure he's ready for the playoffs, which we will get there,
yeah,
thought, then we should be fine. That's what they thought. Like, obviously, I think maybe he came back maybe a little bit too late because it was like really towards the end of the season, like when he came back, maybe 4 or 5 games before the end of the season. So, like, or maybe a little bit more than that to be fair. But he just never got no rhythm, and now his knees even worse. I mean, he definitely did damage just off of that throwing the ball off the backboard and dunk, like just kind of similar to like Jimmy dunking 4 times after clashing with the crash dummy, bro.
here
Oubre.
we go. Yeah, Ubre. But here we go with this New York Knicks fan. Oh, the Sixers don't belong in the playoffs, just like Miami. Like how? Like you're just chatting shit, bro. Shut up, bro. If you take away the playing, the seeding are literally how they are right now. Sixers in 7, Miami in 8. That's what the playoff was before Adam Silver started this playing bullshit.
and
Our
Spurs.
record is so far like Miami. Even Chris Angel saying it. Do you think the Bulls and the Hawks deserve to be in the play-in when you have Miami and Philly who are 7 and 8 games above them? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the win, do you think they should have been in the? No, they shouldn't have. They need to just leave the playoff like it is. So
The
we
whole
mean we
twelve.
shouldn't have been. Miami should have been a higher seed. That's the problem. We dropped too many silly games when we lost to the Wizard. But we ain't gonna talk about that. But whatever. Have your fun, Knicks. Like I said, if Embiid was healthy, they got swept. The Knicks get swept, and I could say that.
I mean, yeah, a healthy MB. I mean, look, healthy MB. We saw him. Well, it was kind of yeah, because he got injured in the playoffs last year, isn't it? A little bit, right? Like, so there was. uh, It was what we was round 2 because he played in round 1
Get in.
against Brooklyn,
Are you getting in?
and there was a sweep. But anyway, um, let's move on to the Bucks and the Pacers because this series there looks like there's going to be a big shock in this first round, and it's probably coming from this series here because
Yeah,
game one,
Middleton just went down.
yeah, he went down. I know, I just seen the news, but
Oh
game one,
no.
playoff Dame. This is why you brought me here. Only for him in the second half to score 3 points, which
Mm,
is a bit peak. And then game two, all of a sudden, Siakam explodes. To be fair, he scored the most points out of any player in the playoffs so far. I think he's averaging 36 a game. Um, and Tyrese Halliburton back on the assists again, looking like he's building back his rhythm as well. Miles Turner shooting the ball
he's a
like
stud cutter.
yeah, let's not do this. But look, it's gonna be interesting, right? Because you hear Bobby Portis's comments saying that the Pacers are front runners when they're winning, everybody's loud, everybody's cheering and
Mm-hmm.
high fiving. But when they're losing, it's all crickets and it's quiet over there. That's
I
interesting.
agree. I agree with
Bucks,
Bobby.
the Bucks are struggling, in terms of Brook Lopez. I'm seeing stats where he's only getting one rebound in the game. You're 7 foot, bro. Why you got one
Mm,
rebound, bro? That's what's
Yeah,
happening.
that's nuts.
Like, what's going on here? Like in a playoff game of all things, why is Dame in the
Roland,
first?
hold on, Roland. Roland, hold on, Roland.
God.
The Miami is a bum team, but your franchise haven't won
Man,
a single. You know what? I'm not even about to go into it. He's just
This
trying
is
to
this
draw
is
me out.
this is a long-standing rivalry, and we could be here all
Yeah,
night.
I'm
yeah.
not. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into it. They listen. They haven't won nothing in the past 20 years, and they still won't win nothing in the next 20 years. So there's that. Like Becky said, you ain't gonna win nothing with a midget as your leader. So yeah, hold that.
After Becky Hammond, fam.
Shout out to her. She know ball. Look, he's struggling. Bro. Bro. They're lucky Embiid is not healthy. If Embiid was healthy, and you can, I feel so bad for him. I laugh at him the time when the Raptors beat them and he was crying, but this time I feel so bad for him because the injury, it's hard being a big guy with knee, bro, the pain is ridiculous, but you play through it because you love it. I'm not getting paid for it, and I feel the same way when I go play pickup games. I'm in pain, but I'm playing through it. I played this morning. I went to play this morning in Hawaii. I bought some shoes and I've been hooping every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I got home, took a shower, and I was sitting downstairs and I was like, yo, my wife's like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm in pain. My body is aching. My whole lower body, my knee, my ankles, my Achilles, my heel, it's in pain. So I can only imagine him that's playing at a higher level, a more, you know what I'm saying, how much pain he's in. And he can't do nothing. And then that pain isn't as bad. That pain isn't as bad as the pain he's feeling inside mentally. We are better than these guys.
Yeah, I
We are
mean,
so much better than these guys. I
he
should be
said
up 2-0 and
he
I'm
said we're
losing.
he said we're good. Like, we're gonna win this series. Like, he's so confident that they can, and I feel like when they go home, it's gonna be a different story. You saw the when them man, because you know how Philly fans are, bro. Them man are crazy. They were booing them against Miami. You saw they were booing them,
What do you know?
like, for that first half. Like, it's gonna be interesting. I think that this series is not over yet for sure. It's not over yet, and it's gonna be one of those ones where it's gonna be tight games all through. We might have a 7 game series, but we'll move on. We'll move on.
Hey, Alfie, I don't know why he did that though. Because
Yeah,
bro ain't
Hey,
man.
even
Last
going
week he
it
spoke about.
doesn't
you
even
got
matter what broke. It don't matter
hey,
what he commit to.
hey,
He ain't gonna be out there at all because he's gonna be injured.
bro,
Bro's trying to
did
get
you see?
a
Did you
Olympic
see what the
medal.
French guy said? He said, I wish that he wouldn't get invited to the Olympics. He wouldn't be allowed in France for the Olympics.
Brother.
Yo,
It's crazy.
yo,
I mean, he's not gonna play now because he can't run. He can't even run right now. So he's not.
yeah,
He's
you're
Yeah.
right, man.
he's not gonna play. Like, he's gonna
But you
be.
know what's funny though? I feel like dumb Steve Kerr would have started him over Bam, you know.
Right. That's crazy, man.
He shouldn't. In that
Bro.
team, he shouldn't.
That's crazy, man. But
He's
Bro,
what like
bro,
what's happening with the Bucks, man? Because
I don't know.
Dame is taking second halves off but you can't do that.
You know,
Where's
you
Giannis?
know what's
There's no
happening with the
Giannis.
Bucks.
You
You
have
know
to
what's
play the
happening with the
48.
Bucks.
Go on,
You
man.
know what's happening with the Bucks. It's your boy. It's like your boy that got the clap. I got the gunner riot from a girl that said she wanted you, but he snaked you and gave her his number, and he got the girl, and now they did the deeds, and she giving them the clap. That's what's going on. That's what's going on with the Bucks.
Bro. And the thing about it is, I know that Chino is loving this year right now because because Lillard, yeah, making that choice, or well, he didn't make the choice, but it was Joe
Should
Cronin.
fire his agent. Should
It,
fire his
it,
agent. That's
it
who he
was
should
Joe.
fire.
It was Joe Cronin who really facilitated it. But you know, that's another story for another time. The Bucks are they're in trouble, especially with these two games in Indy, right? Where their crowd is on. Their crowd will be on fire for sure. Playoff time. It's been the first time in I don't know even know how long it has been. It's like 13 years, maybe 15 years or something like that. And you've got an all-star level player in Pascal Siakam, a champion in Pascal Siakam, who is going to end up becoming probably the best player in this series. And then you're looking at the Bucks. Their squad is old and unathletic. Imagine building a roster, right, where you have the most athletic player in the league in Giannis, yeah, and you surround him with old and slow players. What kind of roster building is that? First and foremost, because that's crazy. And the fact that now he may have to be rushed back from whatever's going on with his calf in order to play, which kind of the same thing happened in round one last year. He was rushed back from the back injury, lower back injury he had, and they still lost against the Miami Heat. What do you think's happening over there?
Well, based on the thing you said in regards to roster building, that's the pressure Giannis put on the front office for success. And I was always wary of the injuries that started to creep into Damian Lillard in the last couple of years or so. I was watching it and saying, how much is that going to impact the way he plays moving forward, especially when you're going into a situation where you've kind of got to adapt. You've been in Portland for your entire career. They play around you. Now you've got to learn to play with a new star, a new team, in a new style, a new defensive identity as well. So that's one thing. We've spoken about the problems that have existed since getting rid of Adrian Griffin, bringing in Doc Rivers and co, the inconsistencies, the strange comments. And I think that game one, I looked at Indiana and I said they didn't play good. They flat out didn't rise to the occasion in game one. And that was a massive disappointment. But you could have also looked at it from a Bucks perspective and said, okay, you took advantage of that. But when Indiana come out to play, how are you going to respond? Because we know from the regular season, Indiana are a team that love to play at a fast pace, which doesn't match Milwaukee's style in terms of, the personnel they have. They don't want to be embroiled in a fast-paced end-to-end affair where Indiana, they're all about fast inbounds, getting down the court, and making sure that the defense isn't set, taking advantage of that. Knocking down your threes, high scores, high octane. That's Rick Carlisle's Indiana Pacers, spearheaded by Tyrese Halliburton. So when they got the opportunity to showcase just a tiny bit of that in terms of that high octane, fast paced offense, they ran away with the game in game two, leveled the series, and now they have the blueprint. If they can continue to play in that manner, how does Doc Rivers make the adjustments in between games to allow that Bucks side to control the tempo? Damian Lillard, game one, we let him off for it. But again, he didn't have a particularly electric second half like he did in the first, and the same thing happened in game two. He's gonna have to be a better leader than that, because it's more than just an individual performance. It's about setting by example and leading, with being the best player on that team. Giannis is out. They need their guy to step up. Damian Lillard hasn't been doing that in second half. So I'm expecting much more from him. Like you said, there are other guys in this team, Bobby Portis, they've had championship experience, Brook Lopez. and co, all of those guys that have been around that core, in and around the success. They need those guys to step up too. But also, I'm looking at the coaching and how, we've criticized Doc Rivers in the past for his lack of in-game adjustments, and that's a really, really important thing. Shout out to Alfie. It's a really important factor because when you look at all of the greatest coaches, I look at Eric Spoelstra in game. He's switching defensive setups. Offensively, you're changing the way guys get looks. I looked at Mike Dagnall in OKC. Mine's gone blank. Philadelphia coach, champion in Toronto, Nick Nurse. He is also another master of making in-game adjustments to switch up the way that the opposition sees offensive sets and the way they can execute those offensive sets. There are so many great coaches in the league that are able to make those adjustments on the fly. And Doc Rivers, in the last decade, has not showcased the capabilities of doing that when it matters most. So that's where I worry for this Bucks team, because if you're in a situation like in game 2 where the game's getting away from you, you need your coach to potentially call the timeout, talk it over with your team and say, this is how we're going to do things. You need him on the sidelines shouting out and saying, all right, we're changing this approach. We need to grab control of this game again, slow down the tempo, use our experience, use our minds, use the greatness of a Damian Lillard. But I haven't been seeing enough of that from the Bucks. And do I give them blind faith and say they will show up for the rest of this series? I'm sure they will have some good performances. But also, Indiana, they have the confidence now. They have the blueprint. They have that win under their belt. We were speaking earlier about OKC and how potentially them and the Pelicans looked a little nervous in that game 1. Indiana looked extremely nervous. They didn't execute well in that game 1 and they paid for it. In game 2, they got everything they needed and more to show them that they can compete. They can go toe-to-toe with this Bucks team who are severely struggling, especially when under the cosh. And boy, could this be a shocker of a series outcome.
For sure. I agree with everything you said. Yeah, one thing that I forgot to speak about. Jay Crowder going to the Bucks for 5 second round picks is probably one of the worst decisions the front office has made in so long. Like, because he's a player, who, 1, can't stay healthy, right? 2, when he's on the court, he's definitely looks a shadow of his former self. And this is a part of that roster building stuff where I'm saying you cannot put around somebody like Giannis, and it's his fault because he's the one that's pushed for a lot of this, an old and unathletic squad. There's no complement to his skill set at all. Nothing, which is crazy. But I wonder, I think he's going to get rushed back for game 3, which is tomorrow, by the way. I think we're going to get a shock and a surprise when the news comes out and they say Giannis available for tonight. Like, I can see it happening because going to Indiana for 2 games, knowing the way that they play, it's gonna be a problem. Like, and they're gonna rush him back for it because they're looking at Philly right now and they're saying Embiid is playing through 2 games. You Giannis, get up off of your chair at home and you better come and play. Like, so yeah, it's a bit mad. Chino, what was you gonna say? I'm gonna say big up to Super Nick. Big up Super Nick. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming through. Hope you've had a good day.
You know what? Too, they shouldn't have fired Bud. I know we did to Bud. I know we put him in a split, but they shouldn't have fired him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They should have kept Bud.
We spoke about this last week or the week before.
They should have kept their nose out of it though. They should have. What they really needed to do, right? They should have leave the Dane situation alone. Run it back with Drew. When, like you were saying, though, get young players to complement Giannis' skill set, right? Which would have been a Buddy Hield, trying to get a Buddy Hield, a shooter. Yeah. But the thing again with Giannis, when you have shooters, it's not like how can I say, like a Braun or Jimmy Butler, where when they drive inside, they're getting. Well, Jimmy play at a slow pace. He play at his own pace, but Braun coming downhill, he's under control. So when he drives and the shooters are out there, Braun can kick it. Giannis can do that. He just throw the ball away. Or he the first to draw a charge. But like you said though, they need to get players to complement his skill set, and they didn't do that. They just saw Dame was available. Oh, Dame's a superstar. Let's get Dame. The thing is with Dame and Giannis, why it doesn't work. And you see how Dame is going off because Dame need the ball and Giannis need the ball in his hand.
Hmm.
They need to bring the ball across half court because as soon as they crack half court, he can pull from wherever. Giannis needs to bring the ball come from up half court because he's like a running back. Your running back's on in the back court, in the backfield. You get the
That's it.
ball.
You're bringing this running back agenda again, bro. You're funny, bro. But
He
like,
needs to
but
get the
like,
ball and
but
bring
my
it up
thing is,
and power through,
they
right?
need more pick and
And then,
roll.
yeah, but the thing
Their
is,
their pick and roll offense. Yeah, I was expecting a lot of that this season. They're not doing that at all. Giannis is doing his own thing out there, which is a bit mad to me. I just don't understand why that's not being utilized. I thought that's what the game climate should be, but it's not. And you're right, bro. You're talking about, Giannis does need the ball in his hands. He can't really play off ball like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's a bit mad, isn't it? But we'll move on. We'll move on.
it's a
We still
windy
got so
day.
much to discuss. Let's move through the Cleveland Cavaliers. The lights are too bright. It looks like the lights are too bright for for the Magic, bro, right now. Not the Cleveland Cavaliers, because that first game I watched it because it was like that was the opening game of the playoffs. So you had to be there. So watched that first game, and I saw a Magic team who were clearly nervous. The only player who really stood out was their leader, their best player, Paolo Banchero. He gave what he could give, but players like Mo Wagner and Franz Wagner, they couldn't give enough. Jalen Suggs was struggling.
Yeah, and I believe he went down at,
I
at,
think,
at one point.
yeah, I think
Was it in game 2?
it was in
I
game
think.
2. Yeah,
Yeah.
he went down in game 2. Wendell Carter Jr. A lot of the Magic fans were really slating him because they said he's not been good, and like if he's not gonna be good enough for the starting, then he shouldn't be there. And I think a lot of them are now looking at their squad and saying we're not as good as we think we are. You're looking at obviously Markel Fultz, who he disappointed me this season. I thought he was gonna have a breakout year this year. He's not really had. He's had his contributing moments, but he's not been able to be good enough to start for the Magic. Gary Harris, who's approaching vet status now. They're also saying he's not as good, and he didn't really have too much of an impact in the game, especially defensively, which I would have expected from him through the first 2 games. On the other side, though, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell seems to get in his shooting touch again, seems to be driving. His explosiveness is coming back after a bit of rhythm, in terms of him coming back from injury. I've really been impressed by Evan Mobley. He's definitely stepped up. Jarrett Allen stepped up massively after last year's playoffs. And even Karis LeVert coming off the bench, showing what he can show. Like, I've been very impressed with him as well. So it's looking like the Cavs are really taking their position carefully. Like, they're taking this matchup seriously, because it could give them an opportunity to get into the second round for the first time in a very long time. What do you think about this series?
I think having those first 2 games in Cleveland very pivotal to the way Cleveland has started. Like you said, Donovan Mitchell looking explosive, looking like himself. Especially that performance in game 1 was great, just making big shots after big shot after big shot. Yeah, you give credit to the Cavaliers in the way they've executed on offense all around, whereas the Magic is completely different. Paolo Banchero, who, rookie of the year last year, a great sophomore season, and he's had 15 turnovers in the first 2 games. But the whole offense for Orlando has been very rigid. They've struggled to make threes inside, outside. There's no rhythm to the way they create in their offensive sets in the half court, and they're really struggling in that regard. Cleveland are eating them up. When you look at Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, the rest of those guys, and you know
Hey,
what, you said something in regards to Orlando
hey,
not being as good as they thought they were. Go on, Chino.
Got you.
they're bums, both of them. That's why I want to be. I hope we can get a miracle. Waiting on a miracle. Allen, brother, that song he got. I hope Miami can get a miracle and beat Boston because I want both of them. Whichever one, Magic or Cam, they're buns. They're buns. Like, bro, they are so.
The Magic, they're very physical, yeah. But like, I kind of look at them and I'm like, they're trying to be like Miami in it, like try and be a physical side, but like they're not experienced enough in their squad to be able to have that physical edge in the game and not mess up their defensive setups and stuff like that, or getting people into foul trouble and things of that nature. They're not that
Yeah,
crafty just yet. That's how I see them. But anyway, yeah, no, you
but
continue, you continue, bro.
Yeah, look, I think it's fine with them not being as good as maybe potentially the seeding suggests,
Mm,
because they are still a very young team.
mm,
A lot of those guys are developing. They've had a great regular season, the
mm.
way it ended, especially. But you can look at some of those guys and say there's a lot of seasoning to be added to
Yes.
really be able to compete in these pressured situations. I look at the Cleveland Cavaliers last year and everything a lot of those young guys went through. And I can draw similarities to what's happening to Orlando right now,
Yeah.
where maybe the NBA playoffs and the experience the Cleveland Cavaliers got and are dishing out to Orlando right now is something they have to go through as a young core to be
hey,
able to get to that point where they can compete, where the organization can look at this side and say, okay, we need to kind of construct this roster in a way where next year we won't just be competitive in a regular season, but we are built to be able to compete mentally and physically. And I think they still have a long way to go, but that's fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
because I mean, I think Joe
yeah.
Ingles is the only guy in their roster who's played playoff game. Like everybody else
But
hasn't played a playoff game. So,
I
and it's
think I
and kind of
think
it's kind of like
also.
OKC. It's kind of like OKC, man. Like OKC last year getting to the play-in, they had that little experience of the atmosphere and what is
Yeah.
going to be expected, and they've carried it through their regular season and then into the playoffs now. I think Orlando will probably be in that kind of same boat. They'll
But
be
yo,
competing.
mind them. Yo, but also if you're really looking at it, Orlando should be a playing team getting into the playing. It's like the East, like
Mhm.
it's probably they're getting their scrutinized because what they're the fifth seed, they're high seed, like right, fifth seed. It's because look at their win. They have one more win or two more win than Miami and Philly. Miami and Philly been unhealthy all season.
Mm,
Like Miami used the most lineup in the league. Apart from the Grizzlies, like Miami had the most starting lineup in the league this season, right?
mm,
And then Philly, Embiid been out. So if you think about it, right, them two teams not being healthy and still having this like 46, 47 wins. So if they were healthy, you're looking at 50 something, 50 plus wins, right, for both teams. So now teams like the Magic, Pacers, and those teams, they're down in the lower seeds. Like Pacers probably be where they are. Magics and stuff will probably be, you know what I'm saying,
mm.
6 and 7, and they will be less scrutinized because it'll be like, oh, yeah, shit, it's the Magic against
They
Boston.
basically,
It's the
they
Magic
basically
against a healthy Heat.
in the
Like
play and
this is
stuff.
what we expect,
Yeah.
huh?
No, like they'll be basically in the play-in, you're saying, and then they'll have to try and
Yeah,
fight their way through. Yeah, I hear that, man. Like this is why I was just talking about. Like their fans were really scrutinizing, like are their players that they have at their disposal really good enough? And it's like, you know, for some of them, I'll say yes. Like there are good players. They're not like bad just because of one or two playoff games. It's just when you get into these moments, yeah, if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it. Like this just happened to the Cavaliers last year. Like imagine being I think this is the first time the Magic have been in the playoffs in like 4 years or something like that. So I think they were there in the 20 in the bubble, right? Like if
Was
I'm
it
not,
was it the last time when they had that DJ Augustine against the Bucks?
I think so. This is what I'm trying to think. Like the bubble, they were in the playoffs. I'm sure they got knocked out
No,
first round. No, were they
no,
not?
no. The bubble,
Remember
no.
that? Remember that series?
So 5 years then.
Because I think the last time they were in was when they faced off against the Bucks in the first round.
In the
I'm
first
pretty
round
sure. Yeah.
in 2019, isn't it?
Oh,
I think so. Let me check.
It'll be 5 years, not four. Sorry.
but no, you might see what I'm saying though. Like if we
Oh,
was healthy and Philly was healthy, like, and
I mean
even even the Hawks to an extent.
the
I
East have
mean,
been
yeah, they got stuff to figure out, but they weren't healthy. The
the
Trey
East.
Young wasn't healthy.
The East was a shambles this year. Like, if we're being totally honest, apart from the Celtics, yeah, like the East was
Yeah, that's what I'm
definitely
saying. You might had no injuries,
we
bro.
had no
Like
injuries, so we've been
no
pretty good.
injuries, bro. So you know one is coming, and they're gonna say, "Oh, Miami's dirty."
Don't
Roland says, Roland
don't
really
stop,
want
don't
that
stop,
title, you know.
bro. I need that
Roland,
time. I need it. Wemby's coming. Are you mad? Wemby's gonna be here in 2 years. I need it now.
yo, they're saying they don't see Trey Young as the guard with him. They more see Dion. They're trying to get Murray back, pretty
They're trying to get
much.
Murray back. I'm like, yo,
Um,
that's crazy.
look,
Hey, but
and Steph is saying he want to win. I'm watching that Steph situation because
yeah,
Steph's like,
there because he ain't sitting
let's
around
just
for no
part
rebuild.
ways, bro. That's the guy where the Warriors ain't gonna do him like how the Portland did
Hey,
Dame. If
yeah.
Steph is like, send me the Spurs with Wemby. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. But hey, CM, this is what I've been wanting to talk to you about, but I've been busy.
So
CM,
What about? Oh,
you
go ahead.
know, OKC. I see a
mhm.
scenario where Kevin Durant going home. Him and Preston mending fence and
Yeah,
Kevin going home.
actually, yes, CM. This is something we haven't discussed, because obviously he sat in the press conference and they were talking about OKC and all of that, and like he still has love for the city.
Yeah.
It may happen
Yeah,
one day. What do you think about that, bro?
I see that. I see the
Man,
scenario.
and people were speaking after Shep was in a video
Mm.
advertising the new KD shoes.
The new KDs,
Um,
yeah. They've been spending a
yeah,
lot of time with KD, Shet and Shay.
yeah. I mean, it's a possibility. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know
Listen,
how I would feel
I
because
would love. No, you can't. Listen, see him. Let me tell you the truth. I know you man talking about his age and he's 35 and blah blah blah. Kevin Durant is having an amazing season. The Suns roster
no,
Oh
construction
no,
to
is
me,
yeah,
just
bro,
to
ass.
he's had a
me,
great season.
the
The
age
roster is
in
just
regards
trash.
to is not too much of a problem. Is like what
And
you said.
see him.
When you consider the construction of that Suns team, his age becomes a problem because of what is relied upon him on a nightly basis, especially
Exactly.
come playoffs.
Mm.
Hey, and my brother, look at this too. Look at this too. You bring him home on the deal he's on, right? You let him see that deal out. Chet's still on his rookie deal. You pay Shay, J Dub. I think a lot of the guys are on
Mhm.
friendly deals, right?
Yeah,
Kevin Durant now start going into his 37, 38. He started taking the Tim Duncan deal that Tim Duncan was taking with the Spurs.
mhm.
The friendly
Yeah,
1 year, you know what I'm saying? Leave a lot of
Yeah.
money on the table. Yeah, you're Kevin Durant because you were Tim Duncan, but you know what I'm saying? It's a friendly deal. We're competing for titles that these young guys get paid now.
hey,
You can see that scenario too, you know what I'm saying?
imagine this happens though.
It,
What if Russ decides, you know what? Let's go for one last ride. Let's repair the tension, bruv.
listen, man, that would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. Russ, I'm biased when it comes to Russ, innit?
Yeah,
So he could come back to OKC any day. Kevin Durant as well. That would be a crazy story because even to this very day, when he returns to the Paycom, he's getting
yeah.
booed out of the building. So if he were to return, it would be interesting to see the dynamic of how he rebuilds the relationship of the OKC fans. Apologies, earphone users.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
would be interesting to see how he rebuilds that relationship over time. Obviously, I feel like it's a lot of speculation right now,
yeah.
where people are kind of piecing things together in regards to, Shet, SGA, and so forth. It's a lot of speculation, but if you want to turn on your your imaginary minds where you got nostalgia on your mind, especially me, when I think about Russell Westbrook and that MVP season, I can remember that game winner against Denver like it's the other day, man.
Yeah.
Where he walks off buzzer beating game winner from deep, MVP season, the emotions that went into that. Obviously, Kevin Durant is a former MVP as well, scoring champ with OKC. Could
See,
have done so much more.
that's one thing I would want though. I wouldn't want just KD. I would like for them to bring Russ back too.
Yeah,
Off the bench. Like obviously he's not gonna be expected to start stuff like that. Just to be off the
yeah,
bench, play here and there, just the two guy that
yeah,
what I'm saying, pretty much started it. Cause them two are OKC. Like they're not the Sun.
yeah,
Like they never played for. Well, KD played one season with the Sonics, and then when
yeah.
Russ
But
drafted, they went straight to OKC. Those two guys are OKC. Like they are the face of that, like the beginning of the franchise becoming
Bro,
OKC.
I said this
You
a long
know,
time ago. I was like, they got so many first rounds. It's just like you could trade away bare
37,
stars.
37, because one of them is Miami's, and I'm mad about it. 37. I've been counting it. 30 fucking seven.
they they
37.
they could literally trade for a star, man. Like, and it just changes the dynamic. It really solidifies them as solidify them as one of the best teams in the West.
That,
Literally, like from
that's what
next
I'm
year.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Go get Kevin. Go get, because you get
Because
Kevin, right? You get
like
Kevin.
he's not
You
happy
get
in
Kevin.
he's not happy
Listen,
in Phoenix, bro.
Roland, look at this, CM. Look at this. You get Kevin, right? You send Kitty to the desert. Send Kitty to the desert. And now you you are Shet and Kevin J Dubs, right? That's your front court, them three, right? Shet, Kevin, J Dubs. Now, now here's the thing. You have Shay. Shay not going nowhere. But Dart, that's the important piece
Mm,
because you got to match money also. But
mm,
here's the thing: is the sun is gonna ask for Dort, but you can push back. You can push back if you want to keep Dart, and the only one you lose out of the starting five is Kitty, and bring in KD. You could give them an extra first round pick, right? The Suns, because they don't really have much pick, but you got to max money, so you're gonna lose a lot of the bench. But you can pick up other guys because you have picks in second round, first
mm.
round. You have all type of picks. Oh, I thought you guys were doing something.
because
You
there's
have
like
all
there's
type.
like a Nick Claxton situation that is apparently developing for OKC. I know he's not great, but for squad building purposes, someone that can come off, grab some rebounds. You know what I'm saying? Come off the bench and grab some rebound. Like it's very very interesting when you consider all of the possibilities that OKC can move into. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's very interesting. I can't lie, but hey, we look. We got a few more to discuss. Okay, round one, game one. My team were cooking from three, and then we get to the fourth quarter, and then man are slacking off. Then the long right comes off the bench, hits 5 for 5 from three.
Hmm.
I was looking at, I was like, what's going on? Al Horford was turning around and screaming at guys like, hey, keep the intensity up. And that thing followed them into this game. But credit to Miami, credit to Spo, because he made his adjustments defensively, went away from the zone. That's what I noticed. Chino will give us his assessment. He went away from the zone, went man to man. Jovic was early picking up KP. It allowed Bam to roam. And when Bam is allowed to roam and run, be free to be able to catch the alley oops. Tyler Hero, 14 assists. I know Chino don't like Tyler Hero, but it was crazy. 14 assists is kind of crazy in a playoff
Well,
game.
listen.
Then wait. Miami hitting 53% of their shots from 3 points, getting a franchise record and top 4 of all time 3 points, 3 point
I'm
3 point makes in the history of the NBA is nuts.
I'm I'm,
The Celtics
I'm
should have
hearing Lewis.
played.
Woof.
So go on, bro.
Oh, sorry. No, I was leaving
No,
Walmart. They said
no.
Mahalo.
I told CM, bro. I know you're out. You got me, I think.
I saw something saying they were like two off the Bucks record in 2021.
Yeah.
That's how insane that was.
The problem is that I don't like to look at this 3-point variance thing, bro. If you give any NBA player space, open shot to shoot the 3 ball, they'll knock them down eventually. If you give them too many, you gave them a lot. I think they had 43 attempts yesterday. If you get 43 attempts from 3, that's a lot to give up. A lot of them were open and then moderately contested. And you could see it because there wasn't enough effort. And then the excuses were, oh, we'll let the guys that we don't think are gonna make it, or try and hit them. And we spoke about it before. I was like, it's like this. You're looking at their statistics during the regular season and saying they're not really great in terms of 3-point percentage. Like people like Caleb Martin this year or a Haywood Highsmith, right? The problem with that is that 3-point shots is all about confidence. If they hit that first shot, right? If they hit that first shot, it will give them confidence to continue shooting more. It's not like a Steph Curry where he'll shoot regardless. He doesn't care. He'll shoot regardless because he will get it going. But in these kind of playoff moments, if they don't miss their first shot, they'll continue to shoot, and you allowed them to shoot. And that was really the problem. I think also, I spoke about Porzingis struggling to
Hey,
get
I
his
sent a
game.
clip. I sent a clip in the hoop chat. Look at it. Play it for the people. That's what was going on. And that's a zone
Hey,
right there. But it's not our zone is not a. That's the thing we get NBA players and fans. It's not a. Yes.
while you find that clip rolling, Porzingis in the past has had an issue with smaller players guarding him,
Hmm.
and I think in game 2, it resulted in him being thrown off completely. 1 for 9 from the field, where he has a dominant performance in game 1. Most definitely, he needs to be better. Drew Holiday also 4 for 12 shooting. We give him all the flowers defensively, but he also needs to show up on the other end, and I don't think he was there in game 2 either. Now, we have seen in the past where Drew Holiday, he offers fantastic defense. Sometimes his offense can be off. We saw it with the Bucks in their championship run, and for those years he was there, and I'm sure that will persist in Boston as well. But no doubt about it, he needs to be better. You get 28 and 8 from Jason Tatum. You get Jaylen Brown's points. I believe he went on an 11-3 run at the end of the first half.
Yeah, on his own.
Yeah, ends with 33 points as well. So you get what you need out of your stars, and it's the other guys that need to step up. And sadly, they just didn't get enough contributions. And you made a good point. We spoke before the show started. During the show now, Miami, cool. It's an outlier type of performance in terms of the shots they made. It probably won't happen again in this playoff run.
Hey, see, when you say that, look at the picture I just sent you. That's what Bucks fans were saying last season.
I mean, to be fair to you, CM, bro, it's not out of the realm of possibility. If you give them the shots, though, that's what's going to happen. Because in the last four games we played against Miami in the playoffs, they've hit a lot of 3-point shots because we allow them to do it. Like, I think also Miami forced us to play ISO, like the ISO game that I speak to you about like regularly,
Yeah.
where we want to move away from that ISO game, but Miami really forced us into playing that ISO game. So you saw at moments, JB and JT for doing what they usually do because they're ISO heavy players. When we've seen that the best of the Boston Celtics this year has been the drive and kick game. You drive, ball movement out to the open guy on in the corner or on the edge of the 3-point line on either side. They get an open look, hit the shot if they can, and it's in. I mean, I saw some mistakes from Joe Mazzulla. I mean, JT scored 10 points in 4 minutes at the beginning or towards the end of the third, and he benched him. He took him out of the game, and I was like, when somebody's getting this game going like that, you let him cook. Don't take him out of the game. I understand that you have certain lineups and things of that nature, but you don't take a player out of the game in a playoff game at that who's cooking. Don't do it. We lack pace. Like, we slow the game down. We're one of the slowest teams in the league for sure. I think we're like 29th just overall in terms of pace. We do slow the game down a lot. And obviously in the playoffs, that tends to happen. But when you need to go on a run, you need to play with pace. And this is where I always look to like Peyton Pritchard was used this year as a guy to bring the pace up. Like, and you saw that in that game one where we looked like we were going in a little bit of a low, and then he comes on the court, hits a couple of shots, and it brings the energy back up. And then the last thing I'll just say before I give it to Chino to finish off, is he's been named the clutch player of the year. That's interesting. We'll add it to the list of the stuff that we talk about before we get into the picks of the game threes. But the last thing I'll say is on the defensive end, the Celtics were not engaged as I've seen them
Let's
this
go
year.
back up and go behind
Like,
her real
they
quick.
need to be way more engaged defensively.
There's a
They want
car
to
coming
they
in.
want to have anything to do with this series because at the end of the day, I see a very tough game happening in Miami in Game 3 because you're gonna have the confidence of coming away from the Garden with the victory, and defensively we just weren't there, and like it was a bit surprising to see, especially with the fact that they weren't closing out these Miami shooters, man. Like, so it is what it is. Series tied at 1-1. I mean, if the Celtics want to be serious about winning this championship, they got to go make a statement in Miami or on Saturday night. Will it happen? I don't know because it's really down to Coach Mazzulla. How is he going to battle in the widths of Coach Spo? Because that's really where this game has been won and lost. Like, Spo did the right thing by putting Caleb Martin in the second half on KP. He was making it very difficult for KP to even move, like getting a lot of deflections and things of that nature, knocking the ball out of his hands. Like, it was pretty interesting. But yo, Chino, take us home, man. Talk to me about the Heat, bro.
Caleb hate Boston, man. Here, here's where we're at. We are a matchup nightmare for Boston because, like you said, everything that you do well is what we want you to do. Because, like you said, you guys play slow. Miami loves to slow the game down. We love to slow the game down and play at our pace. We don't let you rush us because that's what we want. So Spo can pick you apart. Um, we Boston like to give up the 3 pointers. Oh yeah, we want that. Um, you guys wanna? We don't want you guys to drive like we game one. Suppose letting you guys drive and kick. He said, okay, I'm gonna just play 1-on-1. But game two though, you saying Bam was roaming? He wasn't roaming. Bam assignment was Tatum. Bam was guarding Tatum. There's just a lot of time KP go set the pick for Tatum to get the switch. That's why he didn't really have an impact because now you got Bam on him. But a lot of the time, Bam was on Tatum for most of the game. And then, like you say, like Caleb Martin, like he knows when to help. He knows when to help. And then you guys try to go at Jovic. You guys try to go at Jovic, right? But it's not the same rookie or the beginning of the season guy that couldn't play defense or supposed to send him to the G League. Like this guy is a much improved defender. He's moving his feet. He's using his size. I saw him got a block. I think he got one block yesterday. I think he got about two in game one. But the only thing with Jovic was his turnovers. I need to talk to him about those. We can't be having those. Um, but game three, I'm expecting Missoula to make changes, counter. But I'm expecting Spo to have counter to his counter. The only way Boston beat the Miami Heat was with their talent. It's not gonna be with your coaching. You're not gonna beat us with coaching or assignment. It gotta be your talent just doing the job. I'm a number one. I'm a number three pick. These guys are undrafted. You know what I'm saying? That's the only.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we saw that last year, right? In the series where in the conference final where it's clear who's the better coach. Do you know what I mean? And like the Celtics made the choice to go all in with stacking the roster with talent now. But even with that, KP's being targeted by Miami and Spo. Like they realized that he's really the driving force behind why we've been so successful in the regular season, and limiting him means that you limit us and the way we play, the way we have been playing all season. So and then forcing us, as I mentioned, to go into that ISO ball, which I've been saying is just not the move. Like we don't want them to be going ISO because Miami will pick us apart with that ISO ball that we play. So I mean, look, we're watching the game together on Saturday, bro. So it's gonna be fun, like how it always was. I mean, last year was an epic ride. You know,
Hey,
it was an epic ride, man. Last year, like that game 6, still is probably the best reaction I've had on a stream in since I've been doing this stuff. So yeah, I can't wait for it, man. Let's move on though. Quickly because we are hitting 2 hours in the show right now. So let's talk about these end of season awards so far. So we found out who the most improved player was. It ended up being the feat of Tyrese Maxey. I feel like you guys know my thoughts on it already.
yeah.
I don't think we should be rewarding players who were clearly talented from their second year in Tyrese Maxey a most improved player award when there are actual players out there who they weren't really drafted that high. There was a lot of doubt in their game and they worked hard to improve. It's like unless you're talking about somebody like, let's say, Alonzo Ball, for example, who before his injury, the circumstances and the way he comes into the league, gets traded and has to go on and start all over again and rebuild his career, he improved a lot. And you could say, oh, that's a most improved player, or Julius Randle when he won his one, you'd say is very much deserved because he really worked on his game, bouncing back from those types of things that as a young player. As for Tyrese Maxey, yeah, he's been really good. He's improved a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I think that was always expected of him. His curve was always supposed to go up this way anyway. Kobe White, for example, no one expected to see what he's done this year. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so that's why I picked him as my favorite. But
I think, of course, Tyrese Maxey praise is well deserved because even when things are expected of you, you still have to take that jump. I think there are a lot of guys in the league that say before the start of the season, we expect to see this from you, and we expect to. The expectations can be heavy. One thing I do agree upon you about is when I look at the most improved player, I think about guys who have shot out of nowhere and have showcased that they have the potential to make that next step. Or guys that have maybe had the expectations in the past due to being drafted highly or other situations like that, for whatever reason, have not been able to live up to those expectations in year one, year two, year three, but somehow are able to dig their way out of the ground and reemerge as one of those brighter lights, like how we originally thought about them. Like you mentioned, Julius Randle, Lonzo Ball, all of those guys, So I look at those players who almost shock people. It goes against the grain of people's opinions before we start the regular season. So I do agree with you in the fact that with Tyrese Maxey, we always felt after James Harden left, the keys were going to be given to him, to just based off of what he showed us in the sample size with James Harden, Embiid, and so forth. The growth that he's shown gradually as a player. Whereas, even though the Chicago Bulls, they get knocked out of the play-in, they don't have a great regular season. The future doesn't exactly seem bright in terms of what you're going to do with Zach LaVine. He goes out injured. What are you going to do in the offseason? DeMar DeRozan, where does he go from here? Because that the construction of their current roster isn't exactly built to move them any further forward than where they are right now. And they peaked in that season where they all came together, had an electric start to the campaign, and then it filtered out. But Kobe White was the shining light in that roster, where even in the play-in, he showcased brilliance in performance of stepping up in the moment where Chicago needed him. And that is the little ray of sunshine that they can hold on to and say, if we can give you the keys, Kobe White, next season, and you can show us that you've improved, that you can step up and answer the call, then maybe there is a future where we can start rebuilding and making you the focal point.
Yeah.
And allowing to bring other guys in that will strengthen the things that you're good at and mask the things that you're potentially weak at in terms of your skill set. So I would say congratulations to Tyrese Maxey. Me personally, I would have given it to Kobe White as well. But I don't want to discredit Tyrese Maxey's brilliance in evolving as a player as well.
Because I mean, if we're being totally honest, in year 2, when Tyrese Maxey was playing in the playoffs, we were all watching those games together. By the way, he was scoring 20 in a playoff game, right? And usually the way it works is if you're scoring or averaging 20 in the league, you're already at elite level, right? So he was already showcasing certain elite tendencies in year 2. So, and then he improved again in year 3, and I believe he's in year 4 now, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he's made another jump. So it's like, that doesn't necessarily, he's improving, but like, then if you're going to do that, then you're going to have to do that with every player that basically is on their development curve and is going upwards, right? Because you could say Jason Tatum should have won the most improved player of the year at some point, because every single year he was improving. Like, I mean, they may have to do, or they might look at Scotty Barnes. What if next year he explodes, in his, I think it will be his 3rd year, right? What if he explodes next year? But it's like he already had the talent. That's like why he was like a high pick, to come into the league. Say again? Yeah, you're right. When they gave it to Ja, I was like, that's because Ja also, we knew he had the talent. Like, no, it's all good. Ja, we already knew he had the talent. That's why it's important to look at it from the perspective of we have to give it to the players who weren't expected to be who they are, and now they've ended up, showcasing the real talent that they may have had, and it just never shone through before. But it's what it is. We spoke about Naz Reid, so we can touch on him quickly. Like, I feel like out of the candidates that they had, and I believe it was Naz Reid, Malik Monk, and I don't know who the third choice was. Who was the top?
It's Norman. Wait,
Norman
let me see.
I think it was Norman. Yeah, I think it was Norman Powell. I think so. I think it was Norman Powell. Yeah, you're right, bro. I think it's Norman Powell.
Let me see. 10-4 ballot. I'm trying to find the ballot, man.
Oh no, it was Bobby Portis.
Oh yes.
Bobby Portis. I think that based off of that, yeah. Thanks, Alfie. Yeah, I think Bobby, that out of the three of those, I would have given it to Nas Reed. And I think that once again it does factor into contribution to the team and them winning. He was coming off the bench, and like Chino said, he hits the threes. Um, Defensively, he adds on to that team. He keeps them going in moments where they may be in a bit of a low. And for a six man of the year, somebody that comes off the bench and is continually engaged in is engaged in the game. Because sometimes if you're a sub, you can come in and the game can pass you by, especially when they're in them kind of moments. So I think it's well deserved. But then at the same time, it's like it's unlucky for Malik Monk, who has been really good off the bench for the Kings in the last 2 years. So I think this one is a bit more of a tougher choice for the voters, but they eventually landed at Nas Reed. I don't know if you got anything more to say about Nas Reed, about him as a player and stuff, because he's undrafted a few years ago, got paid in the summer, testament to his hard work, and now he's getting recognized for his talent as well.
I just think what he offers on both ends of the floor for that Timberwolves team cannot be underrated. Offensively, the guy can work inside, outside, shoot it lights out at times. Defensively, he competes and can hold his own against a lot of the tough guys in this league. So to have that as your sixth man coming off the bench, it's a privilege, it's a blessing, and it only makes that Timberwolves side even more difficult to face off up against when you look at the matchups that he can take on, and all of the other guys can take on too. So well deserved, man. He's done really well this season, and he's improved previously. Go on, bro.
They asked Miami for Max Strus and 2 second-round pick for Nas Reed before they paid him.
What Miami said. I mean, obviously, you know what Miami said. So, yeah.
What's funny about that, right?
Hey.
I was saying, would the Lakers take him on as a backup center or something like that? Yeah, I mean, he probably could have started for their team, to be honest with you, but being totally honest, and move AD to the 4. But
It would have been perfect next to Bam. So we can
but
move Bam to the 4.
it's another story for another time. And then obviously, the breaking news is Steph Curry being named the Clutch Player of the Year. What do you man think about Steph? Because
He's
we
not
had a
even
nice
clutch, though.
we had a nice debate about if the ball was in the hands of Steph or Kyrie, who would you pick?
Yeah.
And we eventually leaned towards Kyrie over Steph, but he wins the Clutch Player of the Year. What do you think about that decision? Because that's a pretty interesting. Who was in the ballot there? Was that DeMar DeRozan and
so Steph, DeMar, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Ooh.
So those guys had the majority of the votes. 298 for Steph, 272 for DeMar, 160 for SGA, Nikola Jokic in fourth with 85, and Jalen Brunson a lot lower with 26 votes. Luka Doncic, Kyrie in the distance, and so on. You can go on and on and on. Yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. Obviously, Steph Curry, he at times has had a very good individual year. I think in the back end of the season, him and Golden State kind of found form, but Steph Curry himself wasn't exactly the best version of Steph Curry like what we've seen in previous years. So, there's an argument, Alfie, in the comments saying, well, SGA should have won. SGA's come up with some very clutch moments over the course of this season. We know DeMar DeRozan is always up there for Chicago, but at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, Chicago are one of those teams where there's not a lot of... It's difficult, right? Because it seems like the parameters for Clutch Player of the Year is kind of far removed from like success, like what the MVP is. It's not exactly a serious reward in regards to, we look at it as the MVP or the sixth man of the year. It's more so one of those throwaway titles where we regard it highly, obviously, but at the same time, it can be handed out to any player, no matter the situation. So if that's the way I'm treating it, I can see why Steph has won it. I can see why DeMar DeRozan's up there every year because Chicago, they'll
They're
find
always
themselves in a lot of close
late
games.
games. Yeah, late games. They're always close. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to put him in there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Alfie in the comments is saying again, let the coaches and players vote for these awards, not reporters. And I asked the question earlier: should players have more involvement in when it comes to end of season awards? And I think the answer is a definitive yes.
But the interesting thing about this one is that obviously it was introduced last year.
Yeah.
And the media panel selected the winner based off of the nominations from the NBA head coaches, right? And then also, if we're looking at it from statistically, Curry had 189 points, which was first in the league. He made 59 field goals and 32 3-pointers in the clutch. So statistically, he was the best out of everybody. So if we're looking at it from the pure statistics, right, and rather than the meaning of those clutch games, because let's say it was, because if you're gonna really do it the right way, it will be like, okay, final 10 games of the season, who was the player, right, that scored the most buckets that helped his team win and impact their season? That's clutch, in my opinion, as opposed to 82 games, the game is close and their team is down or something, and he scored this bucket, and because like him having clutch points, right, 189. How many of them actually impacted the game itself and them winning the game? Or is because it can't be all of them. It can't.
Can I ask a question?
Go on.
Do you think an award like Clutch Player of the Year would have more meaning if they reserved it to be a postseason award?
Probably, yeah. It probably have a bit more meaning but then at the same time, it kind of defeats because they want to group all of these like regular season awards together, because the postseason, the awards are set. We know what it is.
Because think about it, you have Clutch Play. All right, you can't say year anymore.
I'll
Clutch
say
Play
that,
of the playoffs.
Yeah, of the playoffs. I don't. If I'm being totally honest, I think Shea deserves to win it based off of what he did for his team, because I saw the game, the clutch winner against Denver was a huge one. You know, it's one of those ones where it wins you the game, is helping you keep them away from that number one seed. And like there were situations that were happening like that for Shea across the season. That's what I've seen. I know for a fact that DeMar DeRozan was scoring buckets, helping Chicago to win games that they shouldn't have won. As for the Steph Curry one, yeah, he's shooting those threes. He's making those threes in that particular time period that we called the clutch. And then the impact of it, though, they ended 10th. So he didn't really impact anything, to be honest. But that's another, like, I think that they're going to have to continually to review this one. That's what I think. I don't think that this is enough to say you're clutch, and because of the amount that you made and the percentages that you've got, you deserve this award.
I think, because this is a difficult thing now, right? Because if you consider kind of what they've done over the course of the season, you're almost leaning into that MVP category. Whereas I think they're trying to keep this award extremely specific, which is why, for the most part, we're going to see those guys statistically up there rather than an SGA who has had a massive impact over the course of the season, or Nikola Jokic. So, yeah, I 100% get what you're saying. But then it kind of blurs the lines. It becomes a messy situation. And people will be asking the question, well, what's the point of having Clutch the Player of the Award if it's basically crossing over with MVP as well?
Yeah, that's the thing. I get that as well. I understand that as well. It's a tough one. But Steph Curry's won it for this year. So we'll leave it at that. You know, well done to him. And let's just take this comment from Alfie before we do the last bit to wrap it up. If we voting based off of eye test and not biases, MVP is Jokic, sixth man of the year is Norman Powell, clutch player is SGA, defensive player is Gobert, rookie of the year is Wemby, and coach is Mark Daigneault of OKC. That's interesting. I don't think I'd have anything to say probably beyond the six man. Six man is still Nas Reed for me, I think.
You could
But
make a
and then
argument for Malik Monk potentially.
potentially, but I still think it was Nas Reed's year.
Bum is the defensive player of the year.
And yeah, I know you're gonna say that. And then MVP, I probably would give it to Shea though. I can't lie. He's had that kind of a year for me. Even though Jokic has been really good, to be honest with you. But with Shea doing what he's doing and OKC finishing top of the West, it's pretty clear that he's contributed a lot to them winning. Like, and the fact that he was averaging 30 a game. So, it's one of those ones there. But anyway, we'll leave that one there. All right, let's go into the final bits, man. Let's go through our game 3 picks, man. What do you think is going to happen in each of these games? Let's just get to the bracket again. So we'll kick it off. OKC against the Pelicans, game 3. Who's your winner?
Ooh, back in New Orleans now. This is a tough one. I have a feeling the Pelicans will get a game back. I feel that they'll come out. Brandon Ingram looks like he's working it out. It will. I think the game will be determined on whether you get good performances of Herb Jones, Murphy, and CJ McCollum.
Yep.
If they do, mixed in with Brandon Ingram being not just a great scorer, but also a good playmaker, bringing guys into the action and then getting it done defensively, which I think they kind of slipped down a couple levels in game 2. I think they will get game 3 and make this an interesting series.
Yeah. I think I'm going to pick the Pelicans in this one. I feel like, after 2 disappointing performances from their team, they're back at home, opportunity to get one back and protect home court. I think the Pelicans will get the game for game 3. Gino.
I'll be preoccupied.
You definitely preoccupied, man.
Oh, you say?
Gino, what do you think is going to happen in the OKC Pelicans game, man? Who's taking game 3?
OKC Pelicans are going to sweat.
He's saying get the brooms out for the Pelicans, boy. He's saying get the brooms out. All right. Let's move on, man. Clippers and Mavs, man. Who's taking game 3?
Mavs go up 2-1.
Gino saying Mavs going up 2-1.
Yeah, and then I come from right here. When I come right, yeah, Mavs going up 2-1.
That's tough. I'm gonna say Clippers. I think they're gonna see a better version of Kawhi Leonard. Better version overall of the guys like James Harden. I think he will have a bounce back game 3 and be closer to what he showcased in game 1, but more so on the playmaking side of things.
Yep.
Paul George as well. I think they'll get game 3.
I'm probably going to give it to the Clippers based off of what Alfie was saying earlier. Tim Hardaway injured. Daniel Gafford looks like he's also out for game 3. So there's some protection on the interior, which they're going to lose out on. I think the Clippers can take game 3 on the road. Because I think this series is going to go to 7, to be honest with you, just generally. But, I think it's going to be Clippers that's going to take game 3. Suns and Timberwolves. Now, this is an interesting one. What do you think, bro? Because it's not looking good for the Suns right now.
I'm not. All right. So we're in Phoenix.
Yes.
It's a must-win game for the Suns, but all of the momentum rides with Minnesota. It depends how they carry it over on their travels. right now, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going 3-up in the series.
Ooh, that's a big call right there. That is a big call.
I think the Suns are in trouble, bro.
I mean, they are, but there's something about the fact that, you know, even last year against the defending champions, they won 2 games. You know, I think that there's a level of scoring that they can find from one of their players, one of their big 3, which will at least starve or keep them at arm's length for now. I don't think they'll win the series, but I do think they'll pick up a game. So I think the Suns will pick up the game at home, especially with a fan base that is looking for a championship this year, even though it's not going to happen. I think we're going to have one of them kind of big games from a couple of their players. Not, I think maybe one of Booker, KD, or Bradley Beal has a really big game, but then I think on the defensive end, you're going to see a monster game probably from Joseph Nurkic.
Mhm.
Because I think he's been very disappointing. So I think the Suns will pick up game 3. We've lost Chino for a bit. I don't know if he's going to come back. But let's move on to the Nuggets and the Lakers. What do you think about this one? Because we're back in LA.
Hey, the Lakers.
Close games for both of them, but it's looking like it's going to be a repeat of what happened in the Western Conference Finals, bro. What do you think?
I want the Lakers to win, man. I want the Lakers to win game 3. Am I 100% confident? I'm not sure. But if there was any close game scenario where they'd be able to carry it out, it'd be back at the Staples Center. A lot of people talk about the atmosphere in Denver. I don't know if that's much of an excuse anymore. Because they've been busted up by Denver 10 times in a row. So they need to break that streak. Yeah.
Home and away. Yeah.
They need to break that streak desperately if they don't want to get swept. If they lose this game, I think they're getting swept in the series. And I know Drizzy doesn't have a lot of faith, but I'm gonna say the Lakers win game 3. And it's gonna be big contributions from Anthony Davis and LeBron James. But I also think that we will see a better Austin Reeves, a better Rui Hashimura, D'Angelo Russell will be involved once again. And guys also contributing from off the bench too. Those guys will be most important if they are to win.
I think Lakers are gonna get that game 3. I think they just got to lay a glove on them. I don't know if it's gonna be, you know, if it's gonna change the course of this series, but the fact that they were so close to getting something out of those 2 road games just kind of gives me enough confidence. You know, LeBron healthy in this playoffs, not like how it was last year. AD playing the way he's playing. Just need a bit more from D'Lo again. Need a lot more from Reeves and Hachimura, and need a lot more from their bench unit, especially Gabe Vincent, who last year he was balling at points with the Heat, and now he's just looking like he's, you know. But I think that they're gonna get one game anyway. All right, let's move on. Yeah, I mean that's true too. Yeah, I mean it is what it is, man. Big up Drizzy, man. Big up Drizzy. But in terms of the Knicks and the Sixers, now moving over to the East, game 3, man. Who have you got?
Philadelphia. Embiid, he will be available for game 3. It was confirmed.
I mean,
he will thug it out.
They're playing right now, to be fair. They're about
oh,
to
yeah,
start.
it's just about to start. I'm saying Philadelphia are going to come out and they're going to use all that frustration, that anger of dropping game 2 and channel it with the mix of that Philadelphia crowd, surging them with the energy they need to get through it. I'm going to say 2-1 series after game 3.
I'm in agreement with you, bro. I think going back to Philadelphia, that partisan crowd, like, yeah, you're going to be there and you're going to see them come out, perform for their fans, get a win on the board. Tyrese Maxey is going to have an amazing game, I think, tonight. Even with Embiid kind of at 50%, 40%, wherever the hell he's at, you're going to see some of their role players really contribute a lot. So I think it's going to be a 2-1 series at the end of that game 3. Bucks and Pacers. What do you think about that? Because that's going to be interesting.
Aye. So we're in Indiana now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. I'm gonna say Indiana take game 3.
Yeah.
I think again. I remember when I was watching Indiana playoff games in the play. I think it was in the play-in at one point.
Yep.
Maybe last year, and the energy, in the regular season,
Yeah.
the energy in the play-in tournament, not the play-in tournament, the in-season tournament,
In season.
the energy, it was crazy, and I feel like they're gonna bring that. Alfie says the Pacers can't guard. A lot of that depends on how the Bucks are able to perform on the offensive end with their level of consistency. Can they perform in both halves? Dane, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton is questionable now, so we don't know if he's going to be available for the game. But Bobby Portis and co, are those guys going to step up and play consistency across the entirety of the game? One thing I will say is the Pacers need so much more from Tyrese Halliburton on the offensive end. He needs to be their star. If he's not their star, then I'm afraid they will probably get eliminated from the series a lot sooner than maybe we expect.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the Pacers are going to take game 3 just because they're back at home. Pascal Siakam has exploded in this series now. And I think Tyrese Halliburton is getting back to his best. He's still taking a bit of time, but I think what you saw from their team, I think that the Pacers can definitely still the lead in this one in game 3. There's a game currently going on right now, the game 3 between Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I believe the Orlando Magic are winning the game right now.
Up by 10.
Up by 10. I mean, what do you think about that one? I feel like, we're getting a bit of a glimpse of what's going to happen now in this set of home games for Orlando.
It's interesting, right? Cleveland needing 2-0. Orlando need to answer the call at home to even stand a chance of getting back into this series. It seems as if they've been a lot better being at home in a comfortable environment where they can perform in front of their home crowd. Let's give them a chance. Let's say Orlando.
I think Orlando will get this game in game 3, and it will set it up for a really big game 4, which I think they could potentially take 2 if it goes the way it goes tonight. It should be a very interesting one. So I'm going to give it to Orlando for game 3. And then the final game that we need to discuss right now is the Celtics and the Heat. Who is taking game 3 down in Miami?
Boston. I think they're going to set pace after being outdone by in the one thing that they pride themselves in being better than most teams or all NBA teams at 3-point shooting, analytical based 3-point shooting. I think they're going to put on a clinic and they're going to put Miami to sleep early on in this game. Reminiscent of game 1, perhaps. I think they're going to bounce back. They're going to learn from their mistakes. I hope they do for the sake of Boston. I hope they start learning from their mistakes. Because if they don't, there ain't no championship banners being hung up anytime soon in Boston. Joe Mazzulla, I'm asking you to answer the call, big man. We need you. Roland needs you, fam. Somebody.
Hey,
Brad Stevens. I know
hey.
you're watching this, fam.
Bro, it's crazy. Hey, we better take game 3, because if we don't take that game 3, yeah, this is going to be a 7-game series, and we're not winning this championship. It's as simple as that.
Hey.
You have to go there and assert yourself in all aspects of the game, defensively and offensively, and make your adjustments on the fly in the games and make your shots. But anyway, I'll say that Boston will win game 3 down in Miami because we need to wrestle back some respect. But you know, it is what it is. Well, we've come to the end of the show, man. We lost Chino, man. He must be he's definitely preoccupied right now. But I'm gonna say big up to Chino, man. Thank you for coming through, my bro. Like, you know, we appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're on holiday with the family and all of that. I'm sure he'll be back at home next week, and we'll be discussing a little bit more about the playoffs as well. Man, like CM as well, battling through the cop and all of that, man. I appreciate you for coming on, bro. I know it's tough with it, but you already know what it is, man. I hope you're getting better day by day.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
But yeah, Saturday we're gonna be doing some stuff, man. So make sure you go follow CM22ENT on the Twitch, because I believe OKC are playing on Saturday, are they?
Yeah, I believe it's Saturday 8 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that real quick.
Let's see this Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday 8:30, I believe.
So yeah, make sure that I mean, we'll be over on CM's. You know what I'm saying? Me, Chino will be there watching the OKC game against the Pelicans, and then come over here to Pros Only Sports. Us, man, will be on here doing the Celtics Miami game, which should be a very, very interesting one. You never know, we might sneak in a little Lakers and Nuggets. You know what I'm saying? At half one, I don't know.
Yeah. And definitely getting shown no love.
They don't get shown no love. But hey, this series is a bit too lively to just say no to. I'm just saying.
It's true.
True. But hey, but big up to everybody, man. We appreciate the support, man. Big up to NN, to Alfie, to Drizzy, to Super Nick. Big up to Yank. You know what I'm saying? Big up to Big Task at Hand. You know what I'm saying? I know you're locked into the Knicks game right now. Big up to Brush as well, who came through for a little bit as well, man. Big up to all of you people. We'll be back next week, but we'll also be back on the weekend as well, just to watch a few games. You know what I'm saying? Big up to everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and the rest of these playoffs as well. We'll see you soon, people. Peace.